entire
Fort Mayweather's like 5'9", though.
I usually actually really
50.
do like Philly cheesesteaks, but we'll have to go on a hiatus for a couple weeks.
How often does that make your rotation anyway? Even if you don't like
A couple times a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is not like
times a
not a
year.
big
Wait,
favor.
but you're not cooking them, so where are you getting
Different sports bars have them around town. Or I don't want to get free, but there's a place that specializes that has a little pepper and jack. So
Well, you just... I think it's pretty obvious what you're talking about.
it's kind of a joke, but yeah.
Applebee's. That was what
That's
he was
what I meant.
talking about.
Yeah.
You know, I've never found that
There's also a
cheesesteaks...
food place that has one.
I've never found that cheesesteaks are a great bar item.
Really? That's
yeah.
where I get them a lot of times. Now they do it different in Philly. Don't they use like Cheese Whiz in Philly? There's different ways to make a Philly cheesesteak.
There's different ones, but yeah, I feel like I don't know if I trust like your average sports bar to whip together a grade A cheese.
All I know is if you're somewhere in town that sells Philly cheesesteaks, you're out of them for the next
By the
week
way,
or so. You can't sell them.
Let's just be honest. The cat's out of the bag. Pepper Jack's great late night trunk spot.
It is.
Also,
Very
if you're
good.
getting that kind of sandwich, like a Philly cheesesteak at a bar, I much prefer the bar's French dip.
I'm
Like,
not
if they're
a fan-
making
I don't
Agreed.
like au jus.
Oh,
I don't
dude,
like au
what?
jus.
What?
I don't like au jus.
I don't like au jus.
I knew that.
Hey, here we are. We're back, baby. We're back.
Perfect start to the show.
Oh man. So okay, if we're all in this together, if we're all in this together, going ahead. Also, we'll have a perhaps update on a alleged bank robber that might have been a Chiefs fan.
Nothing to do with me. Wow, we got an update on him?
Yeah.
Can't wait.
We'll get to that a little bit later on.
Is it a good one?
I mean, it's entertainment.
You getting out?
Well, okay, fine. Spoiler. He's asking to be released from jail before the Super Bowl.
Well,
Okay, let's hear him.
Remember, he's being held on like $200,000 bond.
does he think he's got a line on a ticket or like?
Also,
or,
is
or
that
what?
Here it is. This
is that
is-
how jail works?
By the way, can I
I'd
get
like
out-
to leave now.
Do you guys, if you wouldn't mind, the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl, kind of a
Here's
big
what
deal
it is.
for me.
It says out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. We weren't planning on starting the show this way, but who cares?
I don't care. It was a great way to start the show.
The Kansas City superfan, known on social media sites as Chief, is seeking to have his bail on bank robbery charges substantially reduced, releasing him from an Oklahoma jail in time for the Super Bowl. So it's not enough money to maybe, if it gets reduced, I don't know, to a certain dollar amount. Remember, he's feeling good because on Thursday, Mahomes is a week from tonight. Mahomes is going to win MVP. That cashes in a nice big bet for him if you ever can get that money. And then if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, it's another. So he wants to be out. He's thinking, Mahomes is going to win MVP on Thursday. Then
I'm going to win
bail,
$100,000 and I can fly to Barbados.
Hey, refresh our memory. How much did he have bet on Mahomes winning MVP?
I think combined, he can win $100,000, I believe. But
If the Chiefs win the Super Bowl,
And yeah, they're not parlayed. They're skits. But I'm trying to remember the.
Who's reporting this? That he's like out?
This is-
That he'd like
what-
out?
It's
exclusive
out
Dallas interview.
of Tulsa. This is out of Tulsa. KSNT27. That's actually
Interesting.
Topeka or Wichita Station, but the initial report's coming from their affiliate down in.
Maybe weeks for the first post-jail interview.
Here we go. He's on Friday. He is set to return to court where he's asking his bail to be cut to $50,000. And again, I think he can win $50,000, guys, next Thursday when Mahomes wins MVP.
Dude, that's genius.
Oh,
He's like, come on. Let me out. You know what?
More inmates should try that.
By the way, they haven't lost a game since he was arrested.
Maybe
True, we
we
gotta
should
keep him
look
in
at
there.
that.
We
You
gotta
gotta keep him in there.
Keep your ass
Throw
bars.
away the key. I mean, they gotta.
After the
Honestly, at this point, if they win the Super Bowl, they gotta throw the book at this guy.
Throw the
I
book.
think
If
that's
they-
already happening. I think that's already happening.
I don't really know what throw the book means. It just sounds like something.
I mean, it doesn't feel like they need any more evidence. They caught him after like 45 seconds.
It's
Like, I
a-
have presumption of innocence in this country, but it's awfully a bit of a stretch for his current. Is it not?
The article continues to say that his motion for bond reduction that was filed on Thursday, so today, this morning, he now has been self-employed the last 5 years. So, I mean, technically, you are self-employing yourself if you're allegedly going around and
This much.
tax.
If he doesn't have any sort of like evidence of where he's been getting his money, then the tax man's coming after him too. You can't just be like, I've been self-employed this entire time. Feels like problematic. Well, I guess good luck to him. Good luck to Chiefsaholic in his quest to get out of bond on $50,000, which he apparently might win on Thursday when Patrick Mahomes becomes the MVP, thus trying to get himself out by the Super Bowl. Although I would assume that he'd be held there and, there'd be some restrictions about how far you'd be allowed to go, right?
But he could still watch the game, man. All he wants is the ability to watch he wants to watch his Chiefs, okay? They're not going to play the Super Bowl in the jail cell. He wants to be able to be out and about watching the Chiefs beat the Eagles. That's all he wants. That's all anybody wants.
So well said. When you really boil down, what life is about, it's just about watching your team in the big games. And nothing else matters.
Did they not in prison watch the Super Bowl?
I'm sure they got a little tube TV up in the corner. At least that's how they do it in movies.
You think they just let everybody in the common area and they just sit for 4 hours and watch the Super Bowl?
No,
there are prison TVs, so I assume that the Super Bowl is like one you'd, make happen.
Yeah.
Are we sure? Someone let us know. Someone that's
Hey, Gold, they don't call it the big game for nothing. How do you think those TV ratings are doing so well? Because every prison in America has got the puppies turned on. Oh, yeah.
Someone says most fans end up watching the Super Bowl from there anyway.
That's true.
That's very true. That's very true. That's what we're allowed to rate against, dude. Well done.
Not in the Super Bowl ever, but, just general.
Yeah, 913-586-7610. You can interact. We'll get back into the latest update of Chiefsaholic down in Oklahoma. But as far as what the Super Bowl has on the line for both Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, I think there's huge stakes for both in terms of how we talk about them going forward. I still think if you're going for who can, quote, gain more right now, I still think the answer is Andy Reid. I know we had the conversation yesterday, Cody, about Brady and what can Mahomes do and can he get close to the 7 rings when his career is done. But Tom Brady, of course, retiring at 45. Patrick Mahomes is 27 years old. Andy Reid, you and I both think he's going to coach another 4 or 5 years if he's able to physically and all that. But if you're Andy, you're, of course, not going to be finishing your career as head coach when Mahomes finishes his career. Like, that's not going to happen. And you start looking at Super Bowl winning coaches, and you look at how many wins to get into a really, really special category. Right now, Andy Reid is on 1. That puts him with guys like Dick Vermeil and Bill Cowher and Mike Tomlin, Pete Carroll, Sean McVay, Mike Holmgren. You get to 2, you all of a sudden are with guys like Don Shula, Tom Landry, Parcells, Jimmy Johnson, Vince Lombardi. I mean, the all-time greats. And we already know Andy Reid has moved to number 2 all-time in postseason wins just by winning the title game on Sunday. So I think you have a chance if you think he's coaching 4 or 5 more years. If he gets ring number 2, then he's actually got a chance to get 3. And that puts you in a group of Gibbs, Walsh, and then, of course, Chuck Noll with 4 and the check with 6.
But that applies to Mahomes as well. Because if you say, if you get, then you're in a category of only 4 other people. It's Brady, it's Bradshaw, it's the same grouping of guys you would think. Montana, right, who have 3 or more Super Bowls. That is a more exclusive company. To me, you can make an argument that it means more to Andy. It's more of a legacy thing for Andy. Because Mahomes is 27. He's got all the time in the world, Gold, to play catch-up in that regard, right? He can build those things. But for a guy that we talk about having the single greatest start in a 5-year career in NFL history, for that to be true on every level, then he's got to have 2. To me, for us to even entertain the conversation we did yesterday and the Brady stuff, and if there's even a chance he could ever catch there, then to me, the very obvious answer is it's Patrick Mahomes. Because Andy is great, and he's going to go down as one of the greatest coaches of all time, whether he wins this Super Bowl or not.
Yeah,
I understand.
How is it any different than what we're talking about with Mahomes? You're saying it gives Mahomes a chance to be on pace to end up being the greatest. If Andy wins, you could argue he will be on pace to get in the number top 3 of all time if he gets another ring before he retires. Like, I think
but Mahomes will get in the top 4. I mean, either guy gets 2. Is it equal then? I mean, does it really matter for both the same? I mean, I get that Andy's got maybe hypothetically less time in his career, but you can coach. Right. Like, he will have gotten to coach longer. To me, Mahomes' time from the beginning is finite. Andy Reid's going to have 30 years to crack this code, right? To get those 3 Super Bowls. Mahomes like 15, 20.
Yeah, but you would agree Mahomes has more of his at this point. Mahomes has more of his career left than Andy does. He's not. My point. Andy's not coaching 15 more years. Mahomes is probably going to play 10 more years. Andy's probably not coaching 10 more years. He might coach 5 more years.
He's like 8 years younger than Bill Belichick, and he's still coaching. It's not.
It's all.
I don't think he's coaching 10 more years. But I also don't think it's a 0% chance, if that makes sense. Yeah, the odds are Mahomes has more time left on his clock. But the same thing that we're talking about the clock-wise is, I know Tom Brady won 2 Super Bowls in his 40s, but this
not
is
normal, though.
Yeah, that's uncommon.
Yeah, I got
Mahomes doesn't have, what I'm saying? Mahomes had 15 years of runway under normal winning circumstances. Based on the history of the NFL, he has 10. He's got 10 years to get 2 or 3 more, and he's sitting in one right now. I think a lot of this is that Andy Reid, to me, you've already decided on Andy Reid. I think this is part of what it is. I feel you've already decided who Andy Reid is. Everybody already agrees. He's one of the greatest coaches who ever lived. The rings, yeah, they matter, and it might knock somebody up who's a casual fan higher up the list. But I think people are still trying to decide just how high Mahomes can go. If he gets to that 2nd Super Bowl in 5 years in a starter, his 3rd Super Bowl trip, I feel like it drags him higher up than it does from a legacy standpoint than it does Andy Reid. You're going to respond.
For Andy.
You want to play the Whopper sound again?
No, I'm just saying for Andy, it's, to me, not much different than the Mahomes conversation, other than in sports conversations, we compare the greatest athletes of all time. We usually don't have debates about greatest coaches of all time, right? We just don't. Belichick, they, of course, both are connected, and it makes sense that we're connecting Mahomes and Reid, too.
Well, it's similar to the Brady argument. It's was Belichick just going to be the best ever forever? Can he be caught? He has 6.
So this is weird. We may disagree on the whole, hey, how close do you have to get ring-wise for Brady and Mahomes to make the argument? But when we're talking about coaches, I actually think it's pretty simple. You got 6 rings, and the other guy's got 4. You're obviously the greatest coach of all time.
But that's hard because there's a factor of, they've been coaching pretty much the exact same time, but for half of that time, Bill Belichick got the single greatest quarterback of time, and Andy Reid had Kevin Kolb.
You're not trying to tell me, though.
Now, I'm exaggerating because
you're
obviously
not trying to tell me if Andy gets 3 that he's better than Belichick.
No, this is similar to the same arguments I had before. If we get to 6 and 4,
okay, if the 6-4, that means Andy would have 4 rings and Mahomes would also have 4 rings. So either way, I think everybody's happy.
Yeah, I don't really care. That's the argument, right? Gold, you're not going to care if somebody adamantly argues the other side because we'll be sitting here with the Chiefs and Andy Reid both having.
No, I won't be
rings.
satisfied until Mahomes is on top.
That's it?
Yeah, he's got to at least tie Brady.
You want him to get 7?
No, he'll still have a successful career. Don't get me wrong, and he'll still be one of the greatest ever. Personally, I will not feel like the job is finished until he passes Brady.
Should he just play for until?
So Nick Schwartz says
52.
Mahomes' career disappointment if he doesn't pass Tom Brady. That's what you said.
Don't do that.
That's what you said. That's what I heard.
Why would you do that?
He said the job done.
Right. Personally, it's like you may be fine with 2 slices of pizza. I go back for a 3rd and maybe a 4th because I'm a growing boy.
You keep saying you're a growing boy.
I knew Cody was going to respond to that. I knew Cody was going to. I was waiting.
All right, first off, smart mouth, I'm 31. Okay?
Sorry, Gold just turned 32, and I was lumping you guys into the same age group.
And second, you're never too late to undergo physical transformation in life.
I think you should get on the Sam Stevie over at KMBZ diet. Get buff.
Okay, well, I'm going to need...
He says he poops 7 times a day.
I'm going to need a second toilet. Yeah, I'm going to need a second toilet if that's going to happen.
That can't be normal.
I hope Sam is listening right now.
That cannot be normal.
He's probably... He's not listening because he is once again sitting on the toilet for the 4th time already today. He said that he uses the bathroom 3 times before he gets to work.
That sounds terrible, honestly.
4,000 calories a day.
4,000
calories a day that man consumes. He's he's a rhinoceros, man.
A rhino.
I would assume that's how he defecates as well. He just kind of walks around and...
Okay. Thank you for that mental image.
Just lets it drop.
Doesn't even dry, just clean.
Oh, geez.
Doesn't even stop walking.
Sam he didn't have to be inserted into this conversation.
No, he didn't.
It's funny that he was.
He did not. He definitely did not have to. Philadelphia, other than the cheesesteak conversation, let's focus in on them a little bit because I think the huge talking points all next week and some of this week is going to be about the Philadelphia defense, right, and how great they are. And they are. We're one of the best defenses in football. They were the best sack team in football. We know the Chiefs were second, but be honest, there's a large gap between the Chiefs number and the Eagle number on that. However, You do take a deeper dive into that schedule for Philadelphia, and you take a deeper dive into the quarterbacks they played this year. And I think it is something that has to be noted when you're having a conversation about how dominant Philadelphia's defense is. Philly was 31st in strength of schedule this year.
Which is shocking because they played in a division with 3 playoff teams.
They did, yeah.
I know they're one of them, but they played in a division with 3 playoff teams.
Yeah, it was the best division in football this year. Kansas City reference, 16th. Middle of the pack. We know the first 9 weeks, I believe it was, the Chiefs were the first teams to start their season with 6 or 7 teams that were in the playoffs the year prior. It was something like Arizona, because they started this very difficult. Arizona, of course, even in week 1, the Chargers in week 2 were one of the few that weren't a playoff team.
And they faced the Chargers twice.
Yeah. So the Chiefs' first part of the season was much tougher, as we know, than the back half of the season. But the Chiefs are 10-plus spots higher than Philly when it comes to strength of schedule this year. And if you're just wondering, the MVP conversation yesterday about the trend that's out there, where
it's a very similar sample size you're getting ready to throw out.
Right, where we said yesterday that teams that go to a Super Bowl with the regular season MVP have lost their last 9 games in the Super Bowl. Well, here's one for you. Teams that have a strength of schedule of at least 10 spots better, what the Chiefs do over Philly, they're 10-3 in Super Bowls and 10-2 since 2004. Huh.
So we're fighting 2 different odds, huh?
That's right.
Because I mean, honestly, it's like you can't put more weight into one of these versus the other, in my opinion, which makes it difficult, right?
I mean, at least this one's a team one, not just an individual
I
one.
understand. Sport where we think that the individual player might matter more than anything else when it's the quarterback position, which is certainly what we're talking about from an MVP level. But they haven't played anybody.
Who's the best quarterback they faced?
Trevor Lawrence. In my opinion, the best quarterback they faced the entire season is Trevor Lawrence. Because
that was October 2nd. That was before
they weren't even facing the Dak-led. You know, maybe it's Dak, right? I think they got Dak once of the 2 games they faced him. So it's probably.
I don't think it was 2 things. One.
It was bad Dak. It was like when he was throwing picks and he was just coming back.
Well, it was October 2nd, Trevor Lawrence. The Jags were 2-2 at that point in time. They were not the same football team.
No, it's like the Chiefs' regular season game against Jacksonville.
But then also, Dak, we just did the conversation about where we put Dak in terms of, is he a top 15 or top 20 quarterback? I would disagree. I would say Trevor Lawrence is better than Dak right now.
So to me, the best quarterback, and that's fine. Maybe it's splitting hairs, right, one way or the other. That's the best quarterback you faced the entire year? Well, then I don't really know what to think of your defense, because that's very simply it. And it doesn't matter. Like, you're putting strength of the schedule just based on teams' win percentage. Okay, let's go to like a more analytical point. Do like FPI for ESPN, which is like their own metric for how they judge strength of schedule. And that, Kansas City's 14th and Philadelphia's still 24th. Like, no matter how you do it, they are one of the weaker scheduled teams in the entire NFL. The Chiefs' schedule didn't end up being as hard as it looked going into the season because of how bad the division ended up being from a couple of other teams' perspective. But they still played far more really challenging games during the year than we ever got around to. Look, you'd be like, all right, who's the best quarterback the Chiefs face? Well, I don't know. Justin Herbert twice was probably on the list, or Tom Brady, or Joe Burrow, or Josh Allen, or they also play Prince. So, and again, we would put him as like the best quarterback. You're like, they have their pick of the litter. Like anybody, it's a who's who of which people consider the top 5 quarterbacks in the entire NFL. I think it makes them a bit fraudulent, where Philadelphia's defense is very good, and they're very good at getting sacks, but they're not as good as they look on paper. Do not think of them as like, wow, that is an all-time great defense who cannot be stopped. That's not who they are, in my opinion. They've been the beneficiary of facing a lot of bad quarterbacks. And a couple times they've faced once, they've done pretty well against them. God, I mean, I'm just looking through this, like playing Kenny Pickett and Davis Mills and Taylor Heineke and Matt Ryan. It's like Aaron Rodgers. I take it back. They played Aaron Rodgers once, and he threw for like 350 yards and 4 touchdowns.
The Eagles' defense is legit, but I think somehow we've got to the point where the national media is talking about them like they're the 85 Bears, and I just say, let's pump the brakes a little bit in terms of what the Eagles have been.
Some of them saying was you don't know because they haven't faced enough good quarterbacks. You just don't know. Like, I think that's maybe like where you're talking about the national stuff. It's making them out to be the 85 Bears is wrong. But how good do you think the Eagles even, like, I know they're pretty good.
I think they're very good. No, I think it's a very good defense. I don't view them as, again, they're not playing the 85 Bears. The Chiefs aren't playing the 02 Ravens or 03 Ravens, whatever year it was, the Ravens.
Yeah, that Lewis.
They're not playing the 2015 Denver Broncos defense that was, going to go down as a top 6 defense of all time. That's all I'm trying to buffer between the two. Like, very good defense, not a historically great defense. Is all I'm trying to separate a little bit on what the Chiefs are going to go up against in a couple sides.
Enormous microphone. You came in here one time and you ruined my. You've made me think that I'm just like yelling this whole time in here, and I can't tell because I have headphones.
My headphones aren't on as loud today. I appreciate Cody. If there's ever a time where if I ever need a hearing aid and when I get older, it's going to be directly correlated to you.
Me? I'm like self-conscious about it now. Am I really that loud in the room? It doesn't seem that loud in my headphones. Is it louder than that in real life?
You're good today.
Okay.
You're not as loud today.
It depends on the day. Yeah, I think I'm trying to take it down.
Everybody's car speakers are appreciating it today.
Well, I will tell you, your mic is always significantly at a lower notch on the switchboard
How
here.
low? Let's say if they're both at 100%, like at 100% all the way to the top, where would you say Alex's and where would you say mine is?
I would say Alex's is at about 80% and you're at about 60, 65.
Okay.
I have to ride yours too. Go to break. Gold, we're up against it. We should probably just go to break now.
I'm letting the microphone.
The pot is what you were talking about.
I'm letting the microphone do the work for me, Nick. I don't need to talk so loud.
That's a real pro.
I'm letting the microphone do its job.
That's right, man. Don't let the microphone work you. Work the microphone.
Someone says, Cody, you sound normal. Someone else says you sound loud.
That's actually, I think they're both accurate because his voice fluctuates so much.
I do have a hard time regulating a single level of volume. I tend to write somewhere in the okay, I'm talking like a normal person to practice screaming, and that turns out from Nixon, and that's probably a bit of more of a challenge.
During the break, we'll try to cut Nick's saying that in a drop, because if you and I said it, he'd have that thing cut in 2 seconds.
No, it's actually, oh man, I was just about to cut it too. Oh, it's gone.
Oh, it's not gone. It's not.
The recording software we use is acting up. Man, that's a bummer, but oh well.
No, we're getting that. We're getting that audio. One way or the other. Our listeners might even be able to help us out on that. All right. Our NFL playoff coverage brought to you by Metro Ford. View our inventory online at kcmetroford.com. We know Chris Jones had 6-year game. There's another player that now is going to have his against Philly. We'll tell you who that is next.
Cody Gold on 610 Sports Radio, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
What does it feel like to file with TaxSlayer and get your guaranteed maximum refund? It feels like the last level of a video game, facing off against the final boss who stands between you and your refund.
All your refund is belong to me.
Using the power of TaxSlayer like a secret power-up he doesn't see coming.
Only the most tax-confident can defeat me.
Throwing your laptop at his video game face and watching him crumble into a giant pile of shiny coin tax refunds.
Oh, there. You use TaxSlayer.
Save up to 80% when you file with TaxSlayer. Start for free.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. When you're at your best, you great things. Working with a therapist can help you get closer to the best version of yourself. Because when you feel empowered, you're more ready for life's challenges. BetterHelp is a great therapy option. It's flexible, affordable, entirely online, and it matches you with a licensed therapist. Let therapy help empower you. Visit BetterHelp.com/tryit to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/tryit.
Gates Barbecue is sure to please your palate for lunch or dinner. Gates sauces and seasonings can be ordered online at gatesbbq.com or stop by any of their 5 locations and bring Gates sauces and seasonings home to the family. Whether a family get-together or getting ready for your big game watch party, it all goes best with Gates Barbecue. Nothing says chilly winter days like the great flavors of Gates Barbecue, a Kansas tradition.
When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to P.F. Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old tradition of wok cooking. P.F. Chang's wanted to explore new possibilities for their website. They turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com re-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple third-party systems to create a unified digital experience. The result? Improved page speed and performance, personalized content based on users' location, intuitive online ordering, an increase in organic search visibility, and a 40% increase in new users. For scratch-made Asian, visit your local P.F. Chang or go to pfchangs.com for website design, development, digital marketing, and hosting that produce efficiency revenue, and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. P.F. Chang's and AmericanEagle.com. Another example of the best businesses in the world, turning to the best in the business for websites. Go to AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
You're gonna feel a puff of air.
Jong's Optometry has set their sights on staffing up.
Try the next line. Hey, Kim, can you tell our 2 o'clock we're running 15 behind? Sorry, we're a bit backed up today.
He needs another technician to keep an eye on it all.
Where are the dilation drops?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs.
I never thought about space in my cramped apartment, but in this house, all I see is empty space. The sofa and ottoman look like tiny islands in a sea of hardwood floors. I could get 2 ottomans in the living room, but then I'd need another sofa. I tell people I'm into minimalism.
Anyway, when you save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto, that's the easy part of adjusting to the suburbs. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers.
Do you ever wonder about dreams or deja vu, that feeling on a first date?
Yes. The spark is real.
Maybe about where the aliens are, if they exist.
The universe could be infinite. So where is everybody?
My name is Mike Simpson. My podcast is called I've Got Questions. How does it change color? What's the best cure for the hiccups? Do you wash your denim?
I wait 4 to 6 months.
Kind of feels like a long time. Search for I've Got Questions on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes on Thursdays.
Anthony Plumbing, heating, cooling, and electric. Technicians you can trust with your house keys.
At Anthony, we get the job done right this time. That's why you know us as the technicians you can trust with your house keys. Right now, receive a free tank water heater when it's a new heating and cooling system. Schedule online at anthonyphce.com.
All right, coming up in 30 minutes, Danan Hughes, former Chiefs wide receiver, going to join us here on Cody and Gold. We'll get his perspective. He, of course, will head out to Arizona next week as the Chiefs make their way to Glendale. They leave Sunday afternoon. They'll arrive around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock Mountain Time in all week before they take on the Philadelphia Eagles. So we'll talk to Danan Hughes about that. And also, is he concerned at all with the injury report? We know the Chiefs did not practice yesterday, but they still are required to put out a practice estimation, right? And with that, there were multiple guys who were estimated to be DNPs if there was an actual practice. Or also, as limited. As far as the DNPs, it was like Snead and it was Juju Smith-Schuster and Darius Toney. So we'll ask Danan how concerned he is about that coming up at 11 o'clock. Though on Sunday, we both agreed. As much as Mahomes was incredible, a signature moment, signature game for Chris Jones.
It was his game.
Absolutely. And it had to be. We know how impactful he was. And I hope he's doing that again, of course. And the Super Bowl, we joked about the Super Bowl MVP odds. Chris Jones is 50-1 to win MVP. I put a very small wager for the heck of it on Chris Jones to do so. But there's someone on the offense. It's not Mahomes. It's not Chelsea. That might have to have that kind of game.
I think Orlando Brown Jr. has to have his Chris Jones game. Time to go dominate, man. Time to grow. Say, you are going to have to be great in this game. The Philadelphia Eagles have 4 guys with 11 or more sacks, Gold. So they have their Chris Jones, right? He's Hassan Reddick. He's got 16.5 sacks. And then they have 3 more guys with 11 each. So, just for example, the Chiefs have Chris Jones, who has 15. They were second. The Chiefs have a guy with 15.5 sacks. Their next closest guy has 6.5. They have 3 more players who would be the second leading sack guy on the Chiefs right now. Again, we talked about them not playing a lot of quarterbacks, so we'll have that conversation. Mahomes is certainly harder to sack. But this has to be Orlando Brown Jr.'s game. I know that Mahomes is still have to play. They're going to do some other things to win. But Orlando Brown Jr. can't be beaten like a drum in this game. He can't be off today. It can't work that way. They're there on Sunday night in a week and a half. He has to be the guy on the offensive line that holds this whole thing together. And the problem is, and the concern is, Hassan is the exact type of defensive end who causes him problems. He's the kind of player who has consistently beaten Orlando Brown Jr., and that's why it's going to be very vital that he has his best game.
Hey, look, this is we just talked about the defensive front. Even if we both agree that the quarterbacks they faced aren't all that impressive, they the best sack team in football, and the gap between them and the city, who is second, is quite large. And so that is something that even if the offensive line plays a great game, I don't think you're going to avoid getting any pressure on your quarterback. Like you're saying Orlando Brown has to have his best game, and I agree it has to be one of those. I thought the same, honestly, last week. I felt like the offensive line had to have one of their best performances against Cincinnati, and they did for the most part.
They had a very good performance.
Really impressive performance.
Sacked a couple of times, but nothing crazy.
But again, against Philly, like I hate to break, like Mahomes is going to get sacked. Spoiler. Spoiler alert. Against
are you sure?
The best sack team in football.
If he doesn't get sacked, are you guaranteeing?
Yeah.
Gold's guaranteeing a win if they don't get sacked.
If
Guaranteed
Patrick
lock.
Mahomes does not get sacked in the game, how is Philadelphia winning? Yes, I'm saying.
Okay, so then if he doesn't get sacked, and the Chiefs win the game.
Yeah.
No. If he doesn't win the sack, if he doesn't get sacked and the Chiefs lose the game,
yes.
Opening week, next season, you're streaking at Arrowhead.
Well, no, I don't want to get banned from ever going to a game at Arrowhead again, so that's not happening.
Then back off your
Fine,
statement.
you're streaking at Odyssey.
Yeah,
Well, I don't want to
streak around the office.
Both of these have major consequences for job.
Yeah, hey, your words have consequences.
Okay, streaking in this building, but we won't make you go full bottomless. You can wear a Speedo.
No. It has to be, we'll make you some homemade jean shorts.
Homemade jean shorts?
Yeah, we'll take a pair of jeans and then we'll make you shorts out of them, but they'll be really short.
That seems worse for you than it is for me.
I'm not going to look.
Hope everyone else does. The funny part is you could do a streak. You could run through this whole building right now. I mean, if he ran through the entire upstairs, what are the odds 2 people would see him? 3 people.
It is pretty empty in the building. It is very empty.
Downstairs is a much more challenging portion of the building.
Yeah. No, look, I mean, we noted the 31st toughest schedule in football that Philadelphia had. But that doesn't mean that you can have a liability at left tackle in this game. They have to have still one of their better performances.
I know we're saying and I get the generality of it because we know how important it will be against Philly. But to me, this is the way we called out Chris Jones. You said in the game, hey, they can't win unless Chris Jones gets a sack. They can't win this game unless Chris Jones plays great. That's how I feel about Orlando Brown Jr. Other things will have to happen. But if Orlando Brown Jr. doesn't play great, they are in bad trouble. He has to have his best game. And it's all the same things. You want to get the same thing as Chris Jones. Do you want to get paid? Do you want a big mountain of money, either from this team or a different team? Do you want to be viewed as one of the better left tackles in football? Do you want to be one of those highly desirable players that everybody is picking over in the offseason? Well, then do it in your most challenging moment. Because Chris Jones against Cincinnati was his most challenging moment. That team had been their kryptonite and had been specifically his. The playoffs had been his. He kept running into these same problems. Okay, cool. Well, this is the number 1 defensive line in the NFL. Hassan Reddick is the exact type of player who ruins you, and you want to get a bunch of money. Everything is working against Orlando Brown Jr. in this game, which is why they so desperately need him to have the best game of his life.
Well, there's plenty of incentive, to your point about the contract situation. I think right now, if you were to have me guess what ultimately happens in the offseason for Orlando Brown Jr., I think the Chiefs are going to tag him again. That would be my guess. And depending on what he does in the Super Bowl, the fan sentiment around him may or may not change in a positive or negative direction. I mean, if he's able to slow down in a big way Hassan Reddick, I think there will be some fans that will be far more open to bringing him back on a franchise tag. I think that is the best option anyway, considering where you're going to be drafting, considering the open market for tackles and who are you going to find that's going to be cost effective that also gets the job done. So that's just kind of where I'm at on Orlando Brown Jr. Right now, going into the game. I'll remind you, though, that Cincinnati game, one of the things we discussed for Brown, he had a rough go in the regular season against Cincy, but he didn't have his right guard, his all-pro right guard, Joe Thuney, next to him. He did against Cincy in the AFC title game. I think that can't be pushed aside like it's no big deal. The fact that you have a healthy Joe Thuney next to Orlando Brown Jr. also bodes well for Orlando going into this game as well.
I think it does, and obviously they're about as healthy as they can be on the offensive line. When you think about going through, they've played with pretty much, I know Joe Thuney missed a little bit of time.
Yep.
But they pretty much played with their
first time ever, I believe, in Thuney's career or something, right? That he missed the start.
But they they've pretty much played with the same 5 guys all year, man. What's the excuse now?
Big. That's big.
Same 5, and it's not, this goes back to like the conversations when we were beating up on the defensive line last year, which I thought was fair. They were the second most expensive defensive line in the NFL last year. I'll be honest with you. You have invested a lot into the offensive line. Orlando Brown Jr. is one of the most expensive left tackles in the NFL, and you gave up a first-round pick for him. Made Joe Thuney the highest-paid guard in the NFL when you paid him. Creed Humphrey is a second-round pick, which is a high pick, and is mostly considered now an all-pro caliber, right? And is. An all-pro caliber center. And then, fine, maybe you want to say you haven't spent as much on right guard and right tackle. The fact that you stuck with those 2 guys for 2 years in Trey Smith and what people think he is now versus where he's drafted is very different. It's like you've put a lot into this offensive line, and you guys have gotten the advantage very few teams have gotten. You've gotten your entire offensive line together for the entire year. Joe Thuney missed a start. Nobody else has really missed any kind of significant time. Maybe a game here. Trey Smith, I think, missed one. Okay, 1. Big deal. It's been this grouping. But to me, the center of that is Orlando Brown Jr. because they're going to try to pick on him. They're going to take those 50 sacks between those 4 players, Gold, and they're just going to run them at Orlando Brown Jr. all damn day until he proves he can hold up for the entire course of it. And I understand that giving up 1 sack is not bury Orlando Brown Jr. time.
What's fun about the Super Bowl, too, is you get the 2 weeks to get ready for it, as we know, and Andy Reid typically is the best after 2 weeks of prep. We know a couple years ago he had 2 weeks for the Super Bowl, but that was with the exact opposite circumstances. That was an extremely banged up offensive line in that game against Tampa in the Super Bowl. Well, now he's got a healthy offensive line and 2 weeks. You know Philly's going to have a different way to line up their defense a little bit, maybe that the Chiefs haven't seen. Go back to what the Chiefs Cincinnati, where we talked about Chris Jones' effectiveness.
Yeah, they moved him around.
They moved him around. That final sack Chris Jones had, he had only been in that spot, what was it, like a handful of times the entire season, just in terms of that exact scenario.
Well, and then the reports were that they just left him. They saved him. They just put him right in the middle the entire game against Cincinnati so that if they saw them again in the postseason, they could move them around.
So that kind of stuff will be interesting for both teams. Who changes up what they're doing with 2 weeks of prep? What look does Philly give the Chiefs they haven't seen, and vice versa? Because that's what's fun about it, the chess match, if you will. We'll talk more about that with Danan Hughes coming up in 20 minutes or so. I also think going into this game, we're late enough in the season, and we've seen these rookies step up in such a big way. Like, I think we can kind of stop talking about them as rookies to a certain extent. This is now into February. It's the longest season of any of these rookies' life. They've never played more football games in one calendar year.
And then normally when you're supposed to hit the wall, though?
I don't think so, because we've seen in 2 playoff games, in particular the AFC title game, multiple rookies be a huge reason why you won the game, not just like going through the motions. Jalen Watson, 2 huge interceptions to seal the one against the Jags, and of course had a big pick against Joe Burrow. Isaiah Pacheco, the running game wasn't great, but he was vital in the receiving game in the AFC title game. Sky Moore, it seems like maybe take a deep breath on him.
Returner for a minute.
Deep breath on that. Now, hopefully, Tony and Hart, so Sky doesn't even have to be back there. But now I'm sure he's playing with as much confidence as Sky Moore has ever played with, considering what occurred in the AFC title game. We keep going down the list of rookies that really helped this football team this season. Obviously, Karlaftis. So there's, at least for some of them, I don't treat them as rookies anymore. I think we're far enough in the season. We're now, what is this? 19 games they've played.
I still think they're rookies to a point. I just don't think I'll play the blame game for that's why they lost. Like, they're too young.
Someone says the rookie wall is more of a baseball thing.
Yeah, but it's like I don't know, man. The difference between playing 10 games and 19 feels somewhat significant. Like, I understand they're in really good shape. Andy Reid, they talked about that with running backs all the time. Andy Reid's talked about that. It's not just a baseball thing. I mean,
the rookie wall, though, after heading for the Super Bowl, when you get 2 weeks off before, and it's the biggest game of your life, to me, that would have already happened, I guess is what I'm saying.
You would have hit it at some point later in this year.
Like, I obviously, truly, it doesn't mean that one of these guys aren't going to going back to making mistakes.
I still fear that. I still fear the rookie mistake, which is why I still consider them rookies. From a perspective of I'm not really going to play the blame game, because I was ready to base this season on they're too young, inexperienced. That's why the defense didn't come up. I was ready to do that before the season had started because I knew how young this team was going to be. And then we've gone for a little bit. They're relying on Watson and Williams and then let go at Fenton, so they're going all young secondary. Karlaftis was expected to be their second best pass rusher going into the year. It was going to be easy to be like, too young, too many, can't overcome it. I'm not going to do that. The reason why the rookie stuff still matters to me is this is an easy time to slip it. The Super Bowl is an easy time to be like, I still haven't seen everything yet. I know they've played 19 games together, but in Trent McDuffie's case, what is it, 10? I think he's probably their best cover corner, and yet I'm still fearful that when you put that many rookies on the field, it's easy for one of them to run into a mistake, to have a mistake in a big moment. I know this played in an AFC title game, and that's a big game. But you and I and Andy, I think openly admits, even like if you watch the franchise or any other thing he's ever talked about, each level of the playoffs is essentially its own monster. Just because you've played in an AFC title game doesn't mean you can handle the pressure of playing in a Super Bowl.
I also think that maybe you don't buy into this theory. I also think you get to a certain point where it's like they don't even know. You almost don't realize how big of a game it is, like because you're a rookie. Does that make sense? You've heard that happen sometimes, where it's like you don't even know like how big of a game. Like you're playing.
Ignorance is bliss, right?
Thank you. There you go. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Yeah.
It's like, is this something, or do we just do this all the time? Well, that was like it was like I think I would appreciate my MVP in Super Bowls more the second time because I thought that's what you did every year.
Because I do think that happens.
Which is funny that he said that because he does do that every year. So I got to tell you, like just won MVPs and went to Super Bowls every year. I'm like, you do. What are you talking about? You've been 3 times in 5 years. You've won 2 MVPs in 5 years. That's exactly what you don't have to appreciate anything. You seemingly just do that all the time. Maybe for everyone else, I think he just meant like the gap in between.
Yeah.
Like he had won the MVP, then immediately won the Super Bowl, then he lost the Super Bowl. He's like, oh, that's a little dose of reality. Then he missed one. He's like, this sucks. Now he's right back in. He's going to win the MVP. He's got a chance to win a Super Bowl again.
Yeah, it's actually just utterly ridiculous that he's at that point where it's like you are truly able to go ahead and say each and every year that is what you expect, and that is like how it does go. I mean, he's basically that is exactly what he has done. It's really like that's not normal. It's clearly it's why we have these conversations about Mahomes and the path to some maybe have it to catch Brady and all these things.
Well, we talk a lot about the winning, right? The fact that they are in their 3rd Super Bowl in 5 years, and that he's got a chance to win 2 Super Bowls out of his first 3 trips, and all of those things. But it really is like sometimes I have to remember the losses. To me, that ends up making it even more absurd because in the 2 he didn't go to the Super Bowl, he lost in overtime. Like, I don't feel like that's emphasized enough in this. Like, he's been to 3 Super Bowls now in 5 years. But in the other 2, he was in overtime.
Yeah, he's
of
never
the
lost in regulation.
AFC title game. So, like, seconds, milliseconds, tiny little things different. Like, in one, it was probably just a coin toss. And the other was just an inability to get a score on one drive. That's how close he was to going to 5 consecutive. He didn't just lose in some divisional round. He didn't get blown out in an AFC title game. The man had his team in overtime in 2 AFC title games. He didn't go, and the only 2 he didn't go to the Super Bowl. It's like when you put it all together, you're like, this is a ridiculous run.
Gotta write something down.
Nick's notable notes.
You know, guys, one thing that I've noticed over the years in the NFL, it's just that I pick on. I'm curious if you guys have noticed it. It's a copycat league.
Oh, yeah.
The teams, have you ever heard that saying? The teams who have success often will find other teams start to imitate or try to mimic what they did to reach the pinnacle. And now we've got 2 teams, the Eagles, who are built in diametrically opposed ways. You have first off the Eagles, which kind of fit the normal model of how we view Super Bowl contenders. Cheap rookie quarterback, build a great roster around him because it's truly the only time in that quarterback's career where you're going to have the luxuries of being able to give out big contracts to players around
everybody. Yeah.
But Jalen Hurts is interesting because the idea, and it's probably a little foolish, but the idea that has been perpetuated in years is that it's tough to win it all with a running quarterback. Not to mention that Cam Newton got to the Super Bowl, right? And
MVP.
Right, MVP. They went, 15-1 in the regular season that year? But the fact that they lost in the Super Bowl was somehow validated. Oh, see, though, you can't win it all. So let's
Tom Brady.
Let's look at that model first, what the Eagles have done. How replicable do you think that will be moving forward? How much do you think teams are going to look at what the Eagles have built and try to say, what can we steal from that?
I think that there's, like, from them, their big thing is still the cheap quarterback thing because they went out and traded for A.J. Brown and they're going to put superstars around them. But honestly, that is maybe the most difficult team outside of the Chiefs because it's like just go get Patrick Mahomes to emulate. Because Howie Roseman is one of the best team builders in the entire NFL. Like, the same thing that applies is that we already kind of know about the Eagles. Be really good on the offensive defensive line and rookie quarterback with a bunch of stars around him. That seems like the model that everybody's been trying to go for a while, right?
Well, yeah, the offensive and defensive line.
And they've been sold out, by the way. They had extra picks in last year's draft.
The offensive and defensive line, that's what teams have been doing for a while. Same thing with going out and getting like a high-profile receiver, cornerbacks. They have targeted all the important positions. What's interesting, though, is the specific skill set that Jalen has. He's not Joe Burrow. He's not Justin Herbert. He's not just drop back and dice you up, even though he's made huge strides in that. The Eagles are in the Super Bowl because they have had best defense or one of the top defenses all year, and they've been the number one rushing attack in football all season long.
The one thing I would say is I don't know that you can shift the NFL back to this model, but if you have a guy like Kyler Murray, maybe you try to go heavier in this because the Eagles run more than any team in the NFL. They run 60% of the time versus the Chiefs who pass 60% of the time.
Yeah, how do you...
That's diametrically opposed to that.
The Cardinals drafted Kyler Murray first overall, already gave him the massive deal. The Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts in the second. They didn't really wait 2 years before they went all in on building around him this season. What have the Cardinals exactly done to build around Kyler Murray other than bringing in DeAndre Hopkins?
They traded for Hollywood Brown.
They traded
They
traded for Hollywood Brown, D-Hop, and then at one point in time, they did bring in Zach Ertz, remember, late in the mid-season.
So just passing weapons. They haven't done anything else on defense. They haven't revamped their offensive line.
And they went with a coach who was going to design an air raid attack versus a coach who was willing to design, what if we are run first? What if we think ourselves of that and then let Kyler Murray pass when it matters?
Yeah, I mean, they convinced J.J. Watt to sign there. I know he didn't stay healthy, but still, they were able. I mean, at one point in time, like, J.J. Watt thought they were enough of a contender in Arizona.
But we can all recognize the differences between those two philosophies. Like, you kind of were in a similar situation. Young quarterback, unique skill set. One team found it to immediately have success. The other team is now scrambling, and they no longer have the luxury of having that quarterback on a rookie deal.
That's good teams versus a bad team. That's the team who designs their entire offense around Lamar Jackson.
Good organization versus a bad organization. Now let's go to the Chiefs. The Chiefs now, for the second year in a row, have the chance to sort of debunk the myth that you can't win a Super Bowl with a quarterback on a mega deal. We just saw it with the Rams last year. Stafford coming into the season, we wondered how this was going to work with the Chiefs, with everyone else in the AFC going out, making these splashy acquisitions, signing guys to huge contracts. The Chiefs kind of took a back seat, and look where they're at now. Mahomes is one of one. Yeah. He is not another quarterback on an expensive deal. He is Patrick Mahomes, and everybody else is on a level or two behind him.
So, to me, on top of it, he slayed everybody by knocking out everybody who was on a cheap deal. Like, Allen was on $14 million this year. By Herbert rookie deal, Burrow rookie deal, Lawrence rookie deal. They're like, enjoy being at home. I'm going to make my $45 million. I'll be on my way to the Super Bowl.
And we know Josh Allen's cap hit goes way up next year. The Bengals Burrow an extension this offseason. I would imagine the same will happen with Justin Herbert.
Now, going to get eventually $50 million per year.
So those cap hits may not go into effect next year.
Correct.
But going into next year, the only other quarterback that we think of as being on a contending team, like a playoff team in the AFC, might be Trevor Lawrence, right?
Rookie deal. Yeah.
Now, we'll see what happens with Lamar Jackson. Sounds like he may get franchise tagged, but the days of Mahomes being on mega contract and all those guys being on rookie deals, those are all going to end by next season.
Even if Mahomes reworks his this offseason, it still isn't going to be the gap between his and the next guy's contract is not going to be massive, to your point, because of the rookie scale that these guys have been on. And this is why it's great that the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. Because they're doing that. This was supposed to be the year where
we'll
those
see,
other guys took
we'll see
of
what
it.
happens with whoever gets drafted. But there's not, in Trevor Lawrence, there's not a crop of young, talented quarterbacks in the AFC that are looking to come up beyond this one. Like, this kind of feels like this is going to be the field for the foreseeable future.
It's the one perk of we complain like, there are too many all the good quarterbacks, but it's the perk. Eventually, they're all going to be paid together at the same time. So there'll be the rookie quarterback deal won't matter because everyone will pay. I assume if I were the other 7 teams in the AFC, I'd be like, what the hell are we supposed to do here? If we don't draft a quarterback, we are screwed.
Hey, by the way, if it took you this to figure that out, you don't deserve to be in a position of decision-making in the NFL.
You see Jim Irsay sitting as us be like, have you guys noticed how many good quarterbacks are in the AFC?
Can you imagine being a car company and watching Ford, rip out 2 million trucks a day? You know what? We should get in the automobile industry. It's a little late. You maybe you drag your feet on that a little too long.
Pretty long time.
It'd be like if Gold was like, I'm going to get a pallet of bromine. I'm going to start my own cell phone company. We're going to start cranking them out. We're going to put the iPhone out of business. It's like, oh, well, I don't know. A little eight ball there.
We learned from Nick yesterday, steel mills still do exist. That was one of my favorite comments from Nick.
Trying to claim like people aren't still making things.
I
in this
didn't
country.
say that steel mills didn't exist. I asked if they existed.
But you said it as if you couldn't believe that they would.
I don't know. I don't know when he works in a steel mill.
Support hardworking.
You know I do. Nobody on this show respects blue collar, hard-working laborers more than I do.
Just checking, just making sure.
Who's done the most blue collar work on this show?
Me, I did. I worked for a drywall company for a summer.
He wins already, Cody. Don't. Not going
That's gonna be tough.
Don't tell us that he built the whole house.
Yeah, I worked for.
It was one summer.
I worked for a drywall company. I worked at a hardware store. That's blue collar adjacent. Our customers were often blue collar.
So you're trying to take credit for that part of it.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Huh.
Okay. You're going to find out.
I built so many things, guys. So many things.
This is just like that dead giveaway that you haven't built so
many
few things.
So many things.
Hammer and nail. Do you own a hammer?
Yes.
So you could hammer.
I could build so many things.
Could you hammer? You could hammer a nail into a piece of plywood.
I totally could.
I think for next year's Cody Gold, for this year,
now I'm starting to wonder if you could get that done. I'm gonna bring a hammer and a nail down to Arizona. We're gonna find out.
For this year's Cody Gold Garage Show, I think Gold should build a birdhouse to sell for it. His own, with his own hands.
Start with a gingerbread house and work our way up.
Gingerbread.
Before we let him work with real wood?
Yeah, we'll let him work with gingerbread and frosting
it's
first.
more cost effective. Is that what you're saying? Lumber's expensive.
Nobody will
Lumber
get hurt.
prices are very high.
Nobody will get injured in you building a gingerbread.
I like the idea if he's wearing like a yellow hard hat as he builds the house. A completely unnecessary safety protocol.
He's got the safety goggles on.
Really taking safety to its highest level to make sure that this birdhouse is done.
I'm going to have like the OSHA sign behind me that says no days since the last accident or whatever they have in a lot of workplaces. That stuff. Do we have one of those in this building? You have one of those anywhere?
I've not seen one. I think you have to have one, don't you?
It says like, it's been 1,000 days since the last
like
injury.
a warehouse.
I don't know, but I thought most places still
What was the
have
last
that.
workplace injury in this building?
I'm asking you.
Grayson.
Oh, he did fall.
Slammed his metal stairs about a year ago.
Wait, what?
Oh man, he was down bad.
So our stairs coming up to the floor con are stainless steel,
and diamond plated. They're just like they look like they're ready to knock you out.
He hit the last step. They can be kind of slick in the winter when it's snowy or rainy out, and he hit the last step and slipped. I don't know why I'm telling this story. And he just slammed his shin onto the top.
That sounds terrible.
I saw the whole thing.
And he was mad. Which I don't blame him.
Well, I mean, you get angry. A lot of people, when you get pain, you can get angry. That makes sense. Real quick from the 816, I'm listening to this while laying shingles. You guys are funny. We appreciate the work. Maybe it's fixing up Cody's new roof on his house, because I'm sure Cody's having a new roof installed.
I don't have a new roof yet.
Yeah, how many roofs do you have?
Just the one roof.
How many roofs over your head?
How many roofs do you have?
Well, you got 6 patios, so.
Nobody has. They don't all have roofs. I guess it's a different type of roofing on the screen porch, if that counts as two roofs.
So there we go.
Does
there
that
it
count
is.
as two roofs?
God, the true sign of wealth. Accumulation of roofs.
Up next, we'll get right back into the former Chiefs wide receiver Danan Hughes. He'll be heading out to Arizona, of course. We'll ask him about some of the injuries that are out there and what does he make of this Eagles defense.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Subscribe and download all episodes of Nick's Wave and Wheat podcast, released every Thursday on 35 Podcast Network and the Odyssey app.
If you're someone that wears contact glasses, like I used to be, you've probably at some point thought about, and it would be pretty nice not to have to look for my glasses in the morning, not to knock over the water on the nightstand searching for the glasses. I've definitely done that before. Maybe pack those contacts, remember to take out the contacts. All of that was part of my daily life until May of 2021. I can't believe it's almost been 2 years now. Pretty crazy to think about. I called DuraVision. I went in for my free consultation. I found out I was a candidate for SBK Advanced LASIK. 2 days later, I was having a procedure. The very next day, I was driving right back into work. And right now, they have their friends and family offer, providing a savings of up to $1,000 on LASIK. This is only until February 28th. So make sure you take advantage of something usually only reserved family members of surgery patients. but they're for friends as well. So go online to DurryVision.com or give Durryvision a call and schedule that free consultation. 913-491-3330.
This year, there's only one app you're going to need at your Super Bowl party, and it's FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app. The largest gambling event of the season is here, and you can celebrate it by downloading FanDuel and using my promo code CDOT. So you can bet Super Bowl 57 with a no-sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line, point spreads, to who will score a touchdown, all on the top-rated sportsbook app that's safe, secure, super easy to use, and best of all, you get paid your winnings instantly. All you need to do is join FanDuel today and use my promo code CDOT to claim your no-sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and also 610 Sports Radio. 21 in President, Kansas. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem. Getting your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
If you like hunting and fishing, Outdoor America with Tommy Bench is your destination. Great guests, hunting and fishing tips, Saturday at 5 a.m. on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app. Listen on demand at 610sports.com, the weekend programming channel, presented by Wholesale Battery.
What does it feel like to file with Slayer and get your guaranteed maximum refund? It feels like the last level of a video game, facing off against the final boss who stands between you and your refund.
Oh, your refund is a long game.
Using the power of Tax Slayer like a secret power-up he doesn't see coming.
All that's confident can defeat me.
Throwing your laptop at his video game face and watching him crumble to a giant pile of shiny coin tax refunds.
Oh, not fair. You use Tax Slayer.
Save up to 80% when you file with Tax Slayer for free.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. When you're at your best, you do great things. Working with a therapist can help you get closer to the best version of yourself. Because when you feel empowered, you're more ready for life's challenges. BetterHelp is a great therapy option. It's flexible, affordable, entirely online, and it matches you with a licensed therapist. Let therapy help empower you. Visit BetterHelp.com/tryit to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/tryit.
When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a few clicks away. Order online and pick up curbside at your local store. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. For the ones who get it done.
Do you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes? Good news. There's a new way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative. Call U.S. Tax Shield, A-plated with the BBB, 800-391-5063 for your free consultation. Let U.S. Tax Shield protect you from the IRS.
Hello, I'm David Figueroa, co-founder of Melinda's Craft Pepper Sauces. Over 30 years ago, my brother Greg and I set out on a mission to offer the world a better hot sauce. We felt that most hot sauces were just basic. And let's face it, basic is boring. Since introducing Melinda's original habanero pepper sauce, we launched 31 more exciting and delicious sauces, like our ghost pepper sauce, our Thai sweet chili, and our newest and best-selling black truffle hot sauce. People ask us, what makes Melinda's so good? Well, we think it's our approach to making sauces. We think like chefs do. Instead of just burning someone with hot peppers and vinegar, we use fresh plant-based ingredients like carrots, onions, garlic, limes, and the finest chili peppers to set your mouth on flavor. They're really fantastic, and once you try one, you'll want to try them all. We'd love for you to try them, and right now, you can get a 10-pack of our best-selling sauces with free shipping at melindas.com. That's melindas.com. melindas.com.
You're listening to 6 Sports Radio from the Max Motor Studios. Your AFC champions play right here. Proud to be the official broadcast partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. 610 Sports Radio. KC Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, and Odyssey Station.
$11 hour here on Cody and Gold. A reminder, coming up around 11:50, we will head out to Arrowhead, and you'll hear from Chiefs Andy Reid along with Patrick Mahomes, perhaps some other players as well. But we know Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes right here on your official broadcast partner for the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio. And, of course, you can listen to the Super Bowl on the Chiefs Radio Network as Mitch Olthus, Danan, Josh Klingler, Dan Israel will have the call over on our sister station, 106.5 The Wolf. And Danan Hughes joins us right now as he does every Thursday. And hopefully, Dan, we'll get you on site. We'll get to do this in person next week from Glendale.
Absolutely, man. It's going to be a blast. I mean, to think about, 3 Super Bowls in 5 years, and 5 AFC championships, and everything that's around this game, Kelsey Bowl, Sirianni, Andy Reid. I mean, you guys, I'm sure, have gone through the list of why this game is so exciting, and obviously it's important. So, yeah, I'll be around and looking forward to all the excitement out there, man. It's going to be a blast.
What is you mentioned some of the storylines, like what is the one that you're actually truly most interested or excited for, other than the obvious, like just the Chiefs and Mahomes finding a way to win the game, but what actually stands out the most to you?
I like the Kelsey Bowl thing. I think it's, when you think about the timing of their podcast, this year being the first year, both of guys being all-pro, and the nature and how we've gotten to this point as well as they did. I feel like that's a great storyline, and they got, incredible personalities. It would have been really cool if one of them played defense, because then that would be awesome. But at the same time, I think it's just a really cool storyline, and it just adds a little extra juice to the Super Bowl. So yeah, I think that's probably the one that jumps to me. I think the world of Andy Reid and the fact that he brought that organization to a Super Bowl. He, broke the record this year in regards to wins and playoffs and et cetera, and now bring this organization to another Super Bowl. That's probably a close second. But, yeah, I think it's just awesome that we'll be able to match up like this and have fun out there in the desert.
Danan, as someone who has 3 competitive brothers, I can't imagine losing that kind of battle. The amount of trash you'd hear for the rest of your life. Danan, oh, God, it would hurt.
Oh, absolutely. And you have to believe that, you would be talking about trash talk that you would probably have at Thanksgiving and Christmas and internally. But those guys are going to have trash talk externally, too. So it's not just going to be about when they have family gatherings. Like, they got a podcast that they're going to be able to talk about. So could you imagine the first episode after this game and how that's going to end? Like, who's going to have to bite their tongue and just grin and bear it type of mindset to be on the podcast and know that at any moment through the entire season next year, that other person can just throw it in your face. No matter what. Like, if they have a guest on and they get talking about the Super Bowl, imagine like the words that'll come out of Travis or Jason's mouth if they're the winner.
It'll be bad. It'll be really bad. Hey, we've got a lot of time to start looking at some of the matchups, but the one that stands out the most to me is I feel like Orlando Brown Jr. has to have his cricket game. Like, they need him. They need him to play his best the way they needed Chris Jones to play his best against Cincinnati, because the way that pass rush works and the way all of this buildup for Orlando Brown Jr. and his contract and all this stuff works, this needs to be his moment in my mind.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's the thing. I think we've been a little bit harsh with Orlando Brown Jr. I think there's been like high expectations, and he's really done a solid job. Now, having said that, I'm not saying that he's been flawless, but when you consider the overall, in totality, the offensive line, how they've done this year, run game as well as pass game, and Orlando Brown, yeah, there's been times where he's been blown by, but that's happened to a lot of teams. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts played 2 less games than Patrick Mahomes, and he's been sacked, 41 times?
Yeah.
And Patrick Mahomes, 2 less games, playing more, has only been sacked 29. So, you have to recognize that although, what Hurts is, some people would say more mobile than Patrick Mahomes. So you got the more mobile quarterback getting sacked more versus the lesser mobile quarterback with supposed offensive line issues, getting sacked less. So I feel like there's been a little bit of a stigma put on Orlando Brown Jr. that I don't know is warranted in totality. Yeah, he gets beat once a game or something like that, and Patrick has to match. But for the most part, he's been solid. So, yeah, it would be great, especially against his defensive front, for Orlando Brown to have the Chris Jones game of the AFC Championship. But I think if he just plays his game and we just don't compound any mistakes, I think we'll be fine.
We're talking to Danan Hughes, former Chiefs wide receiver. Of course, you'll hear him on the call of the Chiefs Radio Network. Also, players only tonight, 6 o'clock here on 6 Sports Radio. I look at the running game for Kansas City. We know against Cincinnati, Isaiah Pacheco in the rushing attack, it was, combined, 35 yards or so, maybe just around 40 yards, I should say. But they were able to be involved in the passing game. Pacheco certainly was. Against Philadelphia, how important do you think the run game is? Because we were looking at the Chiefs, weirdly, are actually 6-2 when they're held to 50 rushing yards since 2018, whereas like every other team that's held to 50 yards, they're combined 599. So is it just that the Chiefs matter for them?
Yeah. I try to keep it as simple as possible, guys. And I know, Josh is, he's been the advocate for run game. And he's been saying that for the 3 years that we've been doing the broadcast and probably even several years beforehand. And I'm not saying he's wrong. But what I am saying, and I think it's pretty simple, every time we hand the ball off, the best player in the league does not have the ball. So if you're Eric Bieniemy, if you're Andy Reid, how often do you not want the best player in the league to have the ball? That's really what it comes down to. And a great compliment to our pass game. We're a pass team, for run game second, and that's how it will always be. And we have to live with that. But the other dynamic of how often do you not want the PL to have the ball? Because that's where the run game comes into play. Also remember that, and I totally believe this, if you look over the landscape of every play of a 60 to 70 play game, there are pass plays that are like run plays. They're designed to stretch the defense, the bubble screens on the outside, the swing routes, the screens, etc. Now, they're down in the stats as pass plays, but those are really just extended run plays that we've seen. The jet sweep versus the little shovel pass. So it's kind of tough when you look at the numbers to say, well, we need to run the ball more or we need to commit to a certain run. I feel like if we're up by 2 scores with 6 minutes left, guess what? We'll see a lot more run. It's that simple. If we're down or we're even, then we're going to see a lot more pass because we're a pass-first team. So I try not to get totally caught up in the run plays and the exact amount of run plays and the yardage because I feel like there's other components of our offense that pretty much equate to the run.
Danan, from a legacy perspective, is this game bigger for Andy or Mahomes?
Great question. I'd probably say bigger for Patrick Mahomes just because I'd hate to go through another off season and regular season speaking of Patrick Mahomes as if he is less than the superstar that he is and somehow gets shaded for an MVP award that he definitely deserves, but loses the Super Bowl, then all you have all offseason is talk about how Joe Burrow is still better, Josh Allen was hurt, Justin Herbert will be better, now Russell Wilson because Sean Payton. I can go through a whole list of what I already anticipate knocks towards Patrick Mahomes if he loses this game. As far as Andy Reid, I think he's kind of cemented himself as one of the greatest one of the greatest coaches in league history, and having won Super Bowl already and been there multiple times, I feel like Patrick Mahomes would have to wear that stigma a little bit longer.
It does feel that way, especially because I feel like everyone's already just kind of settled into what Andy is, one of the single greatest coaches of time, and I don't think they're going to let the ring count hold him back as much. It's hard because Mahomes, I think it's just because he set a different standard for him, if that makes sense, Danan, because he's had the single greatest start for an NFL career ever. And to only have one Super Bowl during that time would feel like a big letdown for guys only like him.
Yeah, I can see this. But also, let's remember how many great coaches that are either in game or we consider great coaches only have one Super Bowl. I mean, so there's a lot of those, just like there are quarterbacks. But most of those quarterbacks that we consider great, they only have one Super Bowl, but they probably only went to 2, maybe 3 at the most. So, like we talk about John Elway, well, he won 2, but he went to multiple other ones where he got blown out. And so there are other quarterbacks like that. Marino, I mean, the list can go on of great quarterbacks that didn't necessarily, get the job done every single year.
Peyton Manning only went to 3. He's already at the same number.
I thought Manning went to
4. Or 4.
Yeah, I mean, but remember what? You go 5 years, 6, 7 years into Peyton Manning's career, and what was the dynamic? What was the scuttlebutt about him? Like, would he be just like the Marino because he kept going against Tom Brady and falling on his face? So, like, I feel like it's important for Patrick Mahomes, with all the questions, with the elevation of some of the younger talent out there, with the stumbling that we had against Joe Burrow in the past, the last Super Bowl that we were in with him running for his life. I feel like this game would be great in regard to his legacy.
We saw yesterday the Chiefs put out their injury report, but it was just really kind of an estimation as practice hadn't happened. It will today. Out of the guys that were listed as DNPs or wouldn't practice, guys like Juju and Snead and Kadarius Toney, like who concerns you maybe the most about their health and you're going to be watching the most this week and into next week?
I'd say Juju. I mean, I know he hasn't had a great postseason and he's been dealing with the injuries, but I just feel like he was a staple, a solid force for us throughout the season. Very consistent. He's the leading receiver from a receiving standard, receiving category. I feel like he just brings that extra juice to this team. Physically, he's obviously garnered a lot of confidence from Patrick Mahomes and within this offense. So I think that would be a true detriment, because then at that point, as far as bigger receivers, and you guys have heard me talk about the need for bigger receivers, you only have Marquez Valdez-Scantling if Juju is not 100%. And although it worked for us for the most part in the AFC Championship, I just hate to go against the defense to the caliber of the Eagles with just that receiver as far as our bigger guys. So I'd say Juju, but I feel like everybody's going to be healthy. And it also brings me to a side note that I think it's ridiculous in the NFL that you have inactives for the Super Bowl. Like, I think it's ridiculous that you have inactives during the regular season anyway. Like, if 52 guys that are eligible, why put 5 of them down on game day to be inactive? You got to still pay them. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense, never has. And obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if the NFL looks at that, especially from the quarterback standpoint, when you had to deal with the issues with the 49ers. Like, that's a black mark on the NFL that you actually have viable quarterbacks that are just in baseball caps and on the sideline because of this number that you have to have for each game. So, and then at the Super Bowl, like, I remember my rookie year, and I think back that if we would have won the AFC Championship against Buffalo, the way Marty was as a coach and how he loved the veterans and stuff like that, I'm not trying to make it seem like I would have been expendable, but I wonder if I would have been deactivated for the Super Bowl. And having to have your family, you're paying for your family to go out, you're buying tickets for your family and everything else, and then on game day, not before, but on game day, somebody comes and taps on your shoulder and says, "Hey, you're deactivated." Like, it doesn't make any sense at all for the NFL not to have everybody active for the playoffs or Super Bowl, not even say for the regular season.
Dan, it's kind of why I felt bad that Chris Moss got claimed. It was like, he can't play for your team, and now he can't play for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. It kind of stunk.
Yeah, I mean, and the problem is he had no real control over that because he gets claimed, and as long as they don't put him immediately on the practice squad, he has to go to that team. And I'd like to believe that Brett Veach probably had in his mind that he was going to pull him back and pull him back onto the roster had he cleared waivers, and now he's out of luck, and that's unfortunate for him.
No question. Hey, Danan, appreciate it as always, man. We'll listen tonight, 6 o'clock, players only, and then we'll see you out in Arizona next week.
Sounds like a plan, fellas.
There you go. Former Chiefs wide receiver Danan Hughes, of course, part of the call for the Super Bowl on the Chiefs radio network. Mitch Holthus will be with Josh Klingler, Danan Hughes, and Dan Israel, and all those guys going to be out in Arizona next week, and you'll hear them not only on this show, but across the station all next week as we'll be live out in Glendale. Going to be a ton of fun. Looking forward to it. He makes a good point about the inactives. It is kind of ridiculous. Especially for the Super Bowl.
You make 53-man rosters and you're like, only 50 of them can come. You're like, that's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. Why just 2 less? If you made it 45 or something, it would make sense. But why set a roster number and then only set a certain number of those guys who are allowed to be active on game day? It's weird.
Yeah, and as Danan says, you're paying them. It's not as inactive. You don't have to pay them. You're paying them. So what do you? There's not enough room on the damn sideline. No. So what is?
NFL's weird. They just decided that was the reason, and they stuck with it. Who the hell knows?
I do think Danan's right though, because of what happened in the Niners, where they ran out of quarterbacks. I do think stuff like that has to happen. Unfortunately, in the league for them to make changes, we see this happen all the time, where you have to, unfortunately, terrible circumstances have to happen for rules to change. I mean,
we should all get 3 quarterbacks for the NFC title game. Thanks.
Absolutely. So I hope that is something that they do change.
They put a quarterback back out there, Gold, who had a torn UCL. He couldn't throw. He couldn't throw a football. Honestly, I still don't know. They were making a point. I think it was social media at the time, but one of their wide receivers was a 5-star recruit out of high school as a quarterback. You're you're better off with him than Brock Purdy right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would have just continued to earlier in the game anyway, gone with just Chris McCaffrey and just run the, basically a wildcat type option and have him run the option a little bit. That seemed like they were up against it against the Eagles anyway.
It's funny. Should I go back and watch that to get a sense of that game?
You can't judge him off of that game. Go back and watch some of the earlier games if you really want to dive deeper into what Philadelphia actually is as a football team. Don't forget, coming up at 11:50, we're heading out to Arrowhead. You're going to hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes right here on 610 Sports Radio. But let's get to the trash of the day.
Trash of the day.
All right, so I'm 30. Cody's age is up in the air.
Up in the air? 38.
We think he's 45, 38. We're not sure. Nick is 31, soon to be 32. And this is probably more directly an option for you, given your salary, but also your age.
Oh, okay.
Let me just read you the headline.
It's a double dip.
It says, how to be 18 years old again for only a year.
Excuse me?
That's it? Just $2 million a year. So there's a middle-aged tech millionaire, whatever the hell that is.
I don't know what that means.
Cent is 10, right?
So, but why don't we just say million? Why are we calling him that? Why is he just anyway? Not important.
Got 10 mil.
Okay.
He's going to run it out.
Oh, no. A centimillionaire is a person whose net worth is over $100 million.
Ah, that makes more sense. All right, Brian Johnson's his name. He has a team of 30 doctors. That's why it's $2 million. 30? They have a plan that's working to reboot his body. He's 35 years old, and they're putting him through this plan. He's paying $2 million a year, and it's getting him to where his body is actually decreasing in age. It's going down from 35 slowly towards eventually 18 years old. And some of these treatments, they're going, it talks about, he says he wants to have the brain, heart, lungs, liver, kidneys, tendons, teeth, skin, hair, bladder, penis, and rectum of an 18-year-old.
Really skip the last two.
Whoa, what were those last two?
Penis and rectum.
Okay.
I don't know why you want a rectum of an 18-year-old.
So it says.
Honestly, do you have fond memories of when you were 18? You're just man, dynamite stuff.
Dude,
there. It was the best of my life from that perspective.
He eats, so he's not quite on the same food plan. He eats almost 2,000 vegan calories a day.
Okay.
Exercises every day, and each month he endures dozens of medical procedures, including blood tests, MRIs, ultrasounds, and colonoscopies.
Okay, so is it working?
He said, here's what the doctor says, Jeff Toll. who is an internist. Not an intern, an
Let's get this
internist.
guy on
He says all the work has started to pay off. Johnson's body is, as they measure it, getting medically younger.
Yeah, there's just no way this is true. Do you look at this guy?
I believe it's true.
Like, anytime this guy's a medical marvel, and I look at him like, I don't think so. Like, I've seen what, I've seen what Giannis looks like without a shirt. There's no way this guy is the medical marvel, okay?
You've seen Silicon Valley, right? They have blood boys in Silicon Valley. Do you think this guy has a blood boy?
Definitely.
You're trying to get younger. I would think having the blood of an 18-year-old would go a long way in limiting that. Yes.
Cody, is
the
this
real? Are you willing? That's what I was going to ask you. Are you willing to spend $2 million?
I don't have the cash, but we know that with your exorbitant salary, this is sort of in your tax bracket.
18 is an age I want to be again.
Well, he's just saying not like mentally. He's saying physically he wants to feel that way.
I don't think.
As in
I don't think I
his bones
felt
aren't cracking.
Yeah.
His
joints are.
That's what he's going after.
He doesn't have a superbone. Now I had that when I was 18. It just was less problematic. Bad news, by the way. Foot's hurting today.
Oh
no!
Guess what we get to hear about the whole week in Phoenix. The whole week in Phoenix.
Pretty bad timing for three people to go out of town. The foot,
Cody,
not doing great today. I'm in treatment. Like Mahomes and his ankle. I'm going to need a lot of treatment over the next 3 days.
There's going to be a lot of walking in Phoenix, and you're telling me Wednesday your foot's done?
Can't be sure.
Did you read the quote from the article? It says, this is from the doctor that says he treats athletes and Hollywood celebrities.
Yeah.
Did you read that quote?
Yeah.
Okay. And basically, though, that he says he's putting in more work than LeBron James.
And Novak Djokovic and, all these guys are getting like stem cell treatment. It does say that his goal is to prove through biostatistics a reduction of aging of 25% across all 78 organs by 2030.
Well, he's got to work on the heart because they said his heart was older than his actual age. So he's doing all of this, and I don't know, the most important one, the heart.
Well,
he's actually aging in a worse direction.
It turns out I don't think they can make your heart younger. That might be the one that.
But the rectum and the colon and the penis, that should be fine.
Yeah, that's good to go, I guess, for him.
Imagine if that's the only one that works. He's like, everything else is declining, but I have the colon of an 18-year-old.
It all works so great.
Fantastic.
What does he say? Like, if he's, I don't know, does it say if he's married or not? I'm guessing no. But if he's out and he's dating or whatever, and he's going on dates and he explains this to, they're gonna think you're an absolute freak.
They say he's got like 5% body fat and he's super healthy and all these things.
I've seen the photo of him. He looks.
He looks like he has the skin of a slug.
Oh man.
Let's try this part.
This is weird.
We can't do.
His doctors say he has the gum inflammation of a 17-year-old.
What
the hell?
Okay, so let's do this. Okay, we can't do all this. We can't afford all this. But what we can do is maybe just pick and choose. How about this part? Each morning, wakes up at 5 a.m. He takes 2 dozen supplements and medicine.
Okay.
That's expensive.
So, he's about ginger enzymes, micro doses lithium, he says, for brain health. Then he works out for an hour, 25 different. Then he takes green juice packed with creatine, cocoa flavonols, collagen peptides, and other goodies throughout the day. He eats some solid-ish foods, such as broccoli, cauliflower, mushrooms. And then he brushes his teeth. He water picks and flosses before rinsing with tea tree oil. And gel.
He waits 2+ hours after being awake to brush his teeth. This guy, Mr. Health Freak,
okay, this is the best part, guys. There is a regimen and series of measurements for every part of his body. He's taken 33,537 images of his bowels.
Oh, my God.
He has discovered, this information, these biostatistics are incredible. He has discovered that his eyelashes are shorter than the average probe and thickness of his carotid artery.
His eyelashes?
His eyelashes.
Okay.
He blasts his pelvic floor with electromagnetic pulses to improve muscle tone in hard-to-reach places, if you know what I'm saying.
Pelvic floor?
Dude, this photo of him.
When's the last time you
There's no way it could be this.
Where you really paid attention to your pelvic floor, Gold?
Pelvic floor, who knew?
Been a while. You know who I think should pay attention to the pelvic floor? McCole Hardman. He should work on that for the week and a half.
What's his dream? To just be able to show up to high school one day and be like, "What's up, kids?"
No, he wants to do what the 23-year-old assistant basketball coach did for the 13-year-old basketball team yesterday.
Just live out his dream.
It's gonna be a real bummer for this guy when he's like 51 and he has the gums of a 21-year-old and he dies in like a car crash.
I was just thinking the same thing. I was thinking plane crash.
Freak accident gets him.
Yeah, he's just like jaywalking one day and gets plowed by a semi.
Hopefully he's an organ donor. Then I guess is what you're saying at that point.
But God, dude, at that point, if you get that guy's organs,
you're set. And you
like a Terminator.
And you didn't have to pay the $2 million a year.
I think he didn't. Doesn't it say in this article that he's like basically cryogenically freezing all his organs?
This guy's weird. We've established this already.
No, come on, Gold.
Just a little weird, you know.
Forward thinking.
What gives you that idea?
Cody's all for it, I think, but it's a little weird.
Show fund?
$2 million.
Heroes?
A lot of heroes. 2 million heroes. I feel like last time we were asking for 500 heroes. Slightly different request.
Will this guy be at Radio Row?
Honestly, if he was, we would have
100%.
Book him for the show. So many questions. If you told me we got an email that said he was available for interviews, tell him whatever time slot he needs. If he needs it Monday at 10 a.m., first interview of Radio Row, you can have it.
Dude, you know what? This text line brings up a great point. This guy's spending $2 million a year to have the physical fitness of an 18-year-old. Meanwhile, Rob Collins just does it the old-fashioned way.
RC50.
And that guy's and Rob's a decade older than this guy.
RC50 might cost you $450 a year.
Yeah, dude.
Tops.
I would love to see those two guys compete in like a triathlon.
I think Rob Collins should do. He's gonna be busy, but he should do Radio Row interviews and announce that he's got his own fitness plan, RC50, and he should just go and see if he can get some interviews and try to sell some products. I bet you it could happen.
Let's actually send, if Rob...
Can we send a PR email as if we're promoting Rob Collins?
And then we'll send Nick around as his PR guy and see how many shows we can get him on.
Yeah, that'd be a great
promoting RC50.
Dude, if I just acted like I was Rob Collins' handler and I booked him on a bunch of shows to just talk about like physical wellness.
Hey, Rob Collins also a life coach, which he could pass for that as well.
Dude, that'd be such a good bit.
That would be very good. But Rob Collins isn't going to be there.
He's going to be very busy.
No, he told us he's sending Harold.
Yeah, but he's still going to be very busy.
We'll see if he can, just pawn that work off on someone else.
Good point. We're doing something. Somebody's getting
Rob. Rob likes the bit. Rob likes a good bit.
He does.
So we'll pitch it.
All right, that's the trash of the day. Up next, Chiefs Red half hour. Of course, we'll be heading out to Arrowhead to hear from Mahomes and Reid in a little bit. But who does it actually mean more for? Mahomes or we got our answer next.
There's Kelsey.
Cody and Gold brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Even a wager that misses can still be a slam dunk with BetMGM, an authorized gaming partner of the NBA. Place an NBA one-game parlay wager with 4 legs or more, and if you miss one leg, you'll receive up to $25 back in bonus bets. Just opt into this promotion on BetMGM's app or website. With one-game parlay, you can make selections within any single NBA game from tons of bet types, including team and player props. So go ahead and take your favorite NBA star to score big, the home team to cover, and the over in points. Opt into this promotion and then place an NBA one-game parlay wager of 4 legs or more, and you'll receive up to $5 back in bonus bets if you miss one leg. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years of age or older to wager. Kansas only. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
If you are a local business, it's probably been a bumpy ride from pandemic to inflation. Did you know that if your business has 5 or more employees and managed to survive COVID, you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of up to $26,000 per employee? Not a lot of people know about this. It isn't a loan. There's no payback. It's a refund of your taxes. The challenge is getting your hands on it. How do you cut through the red tape? Get your business the refund money? Well, go to getrefunds.com. That's getrefunds.com. The team of tax attorneys together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program and have already returned $1 billion to businesses, and they can help you as well. They do all the work, no charges up front. You simply share a percentage of the cash they get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those who took PPP, nonprofits, even those that had increases in sales. To find out if your business qualifies, just go to getrefunds.com, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. That's getrefunds.com.
Are you ready?
Every pro is an MVP to us. As a Lowe's MVP's Rewards member, you can earn bonus points when you shop select products and brands. Then redeem them for exciting rewards like tools, sports memorabilia, e-gift cards, and more. Join today to become a member and start earning. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Subject to program terms. While supplies last. Points expire at end of calendar year. Visit Lowe's.com/MVP's bonus points for details.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Nature Valley has helped restore access to 10,000 miles of national park trails, and we're on our way to restoring even more, because every mile is a new memory. Life happens out there. Nature Valley.
Plenty of sunshine today with a high of 46.
Weather brought to you by Total Wine & More. At Total Wine & More, save big on what you love this month with hundreds of deals on amazing wines and spirits. Love what you find at the lowest prices only at Total Wine & More. Drink responsibly. Be 21.
Chiefs Kingdom. This is Mitch Holtis, and welcome into the Chiefs Red Half Hour on Cody and Gold. Every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner, the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Show starts at the same time all the time, but Gold's not here. So back in here on Cody and Gold, 610 Sports Radio, 610sports.com, and the Odyssey app.
Is he okay?
And he's missing breaking news.
He's never done this. Oh, do it real quick.
Breaking news. Chiefs Super Bowl uniforms will be white on white.
Coke Boys.
We knew that it was going to be the white tops because they sent out the teaser video, but now they're officially adding it up. It's going to be white on white.
Well, Eagles are doing
their best look, by the way. So
yeah, I see. The Eagles are doing all green, right? So we've got a little color rush edition of the Super Bowl.
Agreed.
Look who decided to show
Hi,
up.
Alex.
Thanks for joining us, Al.
I was talking to the boss. Very important conversations.
There's no way it was important.
There's no way it was that important.
It was guest related for our show and other shows next week. It was.
Oh, for next week.
For our
so
Radio
not. So
Row
it wasn't
week.
super important for this segment right
No, but it was
here.
very important for Radio Row and our live coverage from Phoenix, which, by the way, if you guys haven't heard, we will be broadcasting every day live out in
What
Wooddale
was
from
so
Radio
important
Row.
that couldn't wait till after class?
I'm supposed to end my conversation with the boss,
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
This show comes first.
Do you remember burying me for showing up late?
Yeah, I remember.
And I was like 10 seconds late.
You were in the bathroom,
like 2
though.
minutes.
You were in the bathroom, though.
That's a much more better reason.
I agree.
I
It's
actually,
an emergency.
The conversation with the boss, unless
Okay,
you're...
you have to tell us now. You have to tell everyone now.
Tell the whole class.
Tell the whole
It
class.
was just we were having conversations about how long my betting show should be next week and guess.
Huh. That doesn't seem like it applies to Cody and I.
No, but it does for me and our
Well,
programming.
guess what? You missed breaking news coming
What
back from the break.
happened?
No,
Uniforms officially been announced?
No,
White
you
on
missed
white.
it. You missed it, man.
White on white. That's good. Better than the white on red. We're good. We're happy about this.
White on white's their best look.
It's clean. It's clean. Turns out Mahomes' trainer was correct earlier in the week when he was like white on white, and everybody assumed he's like, I'm not reporting that.
He was just pretty well, and they'd already announced that it was a white top, so he had a 50-50 shot of getting right. Nope, white on yellow. We just decided for no reason, even though we've never worn yellow pants.
Yeah, the Chiefs are definitely winning now. That's what that means.
Ooh, interesting.
That's
because
what that
the
means.
statistics, you don't talk about trends. Trends are not good for the white on white in the big games.
I know. Yeah, but they haven't had him in this big boy. Doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, it's official.
Cool. Now will the stores start selling the white? I've had more people ask me, people from out of town, where can I get the white jersey with the Super Bowl patch on it? Because right now, if you go on Fanatics or these other sites, you can only find the gray uniforms, which, by the way, the Chiefs never wear. I don't get why do these sites initially sell gray Chiefs uniforms for the Super Bowl first? Like, that's the first jersey. And why would I buy a gray one? Now, go ahead and put those white ones on there. Give me that fresh, clean white look with the updated patch. I'll go ahead and take one of those, please. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we're glad you're back.
Thanks, man.
Glad you got that sorted out.
With you.
Do you guys ever wonder why nobody ever asks, nobody ever is rocking official, Chiefs pants to games? They always go with the jerseys.
Chiefs pants.
Nobody ever wants to wear the bottoms. We always talk about white on white, but nobody ever, they all want the tops. Nobody ever wants the bottoms. That would be funny.
Could you imagine if people were just wearing that?
It's also why baseball is the dumbest sport for making them wear the jersey, the outfit. Because if you do that in any other sport, if it doesn't really matter. If Steve Kerr was just out there in gym, in basketball shirts and a jersey, you'd be like, what are we doing here? Why is he wearing a warm-up kit? It doesn't make any sense. Or in football, if Andy Reid had to wear the white jersey with a number on it and the pants, you'd be like, what are we doing?
Oh, man.
Why is he dressed like this?
By the way, that would be incredible.
Why is baseball the only sport sticking to?
It would be weird, but it would also be incredible in that scenario. If Nick Sirianni's out there wearing a number 18 jersey or something, and he's got the full-blown pants and he's wearing spikes, it'd be incredible.
Wearing spikes.
And then Andy, offensive lineman, just go back and wears his college number.
Why do you think baseball's sticking with it?
That's a great question.
They let him wear pullovers now, at least. I remember for a while, they would check under your jacket to make sure you're still wearing jersey. What are we doing
Just in case the manager needs to get out there on the field. It's the dumbest thing. I don't know why, man.
Just walk out in tennis shoes.
I agree with you. I don't get it. That does need to change.
Either baseball needs to change or every sport needs to adopt the opposite. Pads and everything.
Something tells me baseball's the one that needs to change.
Nope.
I'll take just calling plays underneath the helmet.
Yeah.
Steve Kerr is still wearing a jersey on the sideline for the Warriors.
That would be the worst, seeing those pasty guys with their
loose skin.
Their gross
Doc Rivers
potato salad arms.
Doc Rivers is wearing a damn Sixers jersey.
Dude, imagine Greg Popovich wears jersey. I don't think you want to see those shoulders.
The gray, white chest hairs popping out of the jersey.
Just alabaster skin.
And I like that they have to be similar length. So if you're a soccer coach, you're like, that's mid-thigh and up. It's too much. Guy's 66.
Yeah, the basketball coaches got to wear the jerseys from the era that they played in. So wear the John Stockton shorts.
In case you guys missed it, there has been some news out of Tulsa, Oklahoma involving a super fan for the Chiefs. That's Chiefsaholic. And he is asking his bail to be released, to reduce, so he can be released, I should say. Remember, $200,000 is what he's being held on for allegedly robbing that bank in the Tulsa area. Well, he's asking his bond get reduced to $50,000 in time for him to meet bail and therefore watch the Super Bowl outside of a jail cell. That's his wish. That's what he's actually officially filed, and there's a chance it actually does happen. But the Chiefs have not lost since he's been in jail. And there's a lot of people on social media that think he needs to stay behind bars until the Super Bowl's
Is that what you want?
I think.
Do you want him out, or do you want him to stay behind bars?
I mean, if he can make bail, I think he obviously should get the hell out of jail. Yes, that's pretty simple to me. If he can actually afford the ability to get,
he has the. You believe in the presumption of innocence.
I do.
So you think that if he can afford.
All I know is if they set a bail and you can meet that number, yes, I think that person should be able to get out of jail for this kind of crime. Allegedly, yeah. There's obviously some crimes where bail would not be a good idea. This was one of those where I think it is
a violent crime. It is bank robbery.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was it?
He fortunately never.
Was it a pellet gun? Is that what it was? They said.
I don't remember. Yeah. We'll wait for the 30 for 30. Text line says keep his ass in jail.
Well, yeah. Until the Chiefs lose, I mean,
shouldn't he want that?
Him being locked up has been a good luck charm.
Also, he has a lot of money riding on them winning the Super Bowl.
Yes, he does. $100,000
from a. He wears a wolf costume to all the games, right? He's probably doing that because he's a superstitious individual. Seeing how they haven't lost a single game since he's been placed in jail, shouldn't he want to stay in jail in order to secure the win and get himself his bail money?
No. Anytime you can get out, I'm guessing. I can't speak from experience here like maybe you can, but I'm guessing you want to get the hell out of jail when you're in jail.
It was just a few hours for you. And I did definitely want to get out.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
I didn't get a meal or anything. It was just a holding cell.
How long has he been behind bars? Like a month?
I have to really get checked in.
It was after it was the Texans week, right? When did they play the Texans? It's been a month. At least he's been behind bars for at least a month.
I mean,
Someone was wearing an ape costume in the row a couple rows in front of me at the Chiefs Cincy game on Sunday.
Honestly, it seems kind of practical when it's like, okay, well, that's not original at all.
You think that guy's a bank robber as well?
No. I mean, I don't know, maybe. Well, we think just like all people who dress in costumes? That would imply that like Casey Wolf is also
we know
trying to
about
knock banks
We know
off.
about him. We actually know who he is.
Yeah, we do.
We actually have.
Well-documented good dude.
Yeah, that's well documented, as you said. So that's a little bit different.
I just think that I don't think
so. Your final vote, you would say, don't let him out, leave him in jail forever until.
I think from a winning perspective, it's only wise to keep him in jail for now.
Also, so do you think fans will blame him?
Does he have the $50K? Like if it gets lowered to 50, I'm asking. To me,
here's why you can do it. If
because $50K, you can get a loan shark.
Yeah, you only need. I think you only need. You only
get like a bail bondsman.
I think you only need $5K to meet the $50K. I think that's what it is. Something like
Based on the amount of money he was throwing around in some of these things, you would think. Although he got a public defender, he's just got $5K laying around.
He doesn't have any money. Why was he robbing a bank? He doesn't have any money.
Dude, he had some money. He made those bets.
Right, but he might have been in so deep, man. He might have been in so deep that he couldn't get himself out.
I don't think he has illegal money. He definitely had money. I wasn't planning on this being a big topic of the show, but I'm curious. I guess let us know. 913-586-7762. Do you think he should be let out?
The FBI,
if he can afford it.
I'm sure the FBI have tracked down and tried to figure out if those bets, those big $100,000 winnings that he has on.
Taxman feels like to be after him, right? I feel like the IRS might have something to say about where all this money's coming from.
I'm going to go and guess that the IRS is the least of his problems currently, though, considering he's being held on.
That's how they got Capone, dude. Are you sure?
I'm guessing in this case, yes. That is not nearly.
That's a pretty good point by me, Nick.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that.
Okay, that just negates it being a good point.
You were looking at me like I was an idiot.
No, I wasn't. I was just looking at you.
That was because they couldn't get Capone on other things, so they used that as a way to get him. This guy is being already held on robbery charges.
Yeah, and they got Capone because he had like what would be the present-day equivalent to like billions and billions of dollars that he wasn't paying taxes on. I don't think this guy's quite up to that level of notoriety.
Yeah, he's not Wesley Snipes either.
He isn't Babyface Nelson, you know?
How long did Wesley Snipes go away for?
I don't know. That dude had some major tax problems, Wesley Snipes.
Well, we're not gonna use this as an opportunity to.
I like Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, to denigrate one of the great actors of our time.
He filed taxes between 99 and 04.
What's your favorite Wesley Snipes movie, Nick?
Blade.
3-year prison sentence.
God, you answer that so quick.
Or what is it? U.S. Marshals.
Yes.
Is that the one that he's in? There's two movies that are like exactly the same. There's U.S. Marshals, and then there's.
I think U.S. Marshals. I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think my favorite's Undisputed, when he's in prison.
You just looked that
and becomes a boxer. No, I had to look up the name of the movie, but I've seen it. He builds like a matchstick house, and he trains to box, and like a heavyweight guy ends up in jail with him at the same time. He fights him in a big prison match.
All right, coming up next, we're heading out to Arrowhead. We're going to hear from Andy Reid. And if Pete Sweeney asks Andy whether or not he wants Chiefsaholic to stay behind bars, we will all buy Pete Sweeney lunch next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss Alex's That Betting Show every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Right here on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
Experience the future of connectivity with Spectrum One. You get Spectrum Internet delivering the fastest speeds in the nation for $49.99 a month. Advanced Wi-Fi for enhanced privacy and security, free for 12 months. And a Spectrum mobile line with unlimited talk, text, and data, plus nationwide 5G, free for 12 months. That's Spectrum One. Visit Spectrum.com or your local Spectrum store today. Offer subject to change. Valid for qualified residential customers only. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
Football, football, and more football. Whether you go to the game or have the party at your house, you need Smokehouse Barbecue. Let Smokehouse Barbecue celebrate with you. They have private banquet rooms at all 3 locations in Zona Rosa, Gladstone, and Independence. Or if you're hosting your own party in the KC Metro, invite Smokehouse to cater and deliver. Order the whole meal with their famous ribs and wings. And don't forget about Smokehouse Barbecue's hickory pit beans or cheesy corn to go with your meal. Check them out at SmokehouseBBQ.com. For over 30 years and family-owned and operated, it's Smokehouse Barbecue.
CDL drivers and heavy truck mechanics, listen up. Everybody loves playing for a winner, right? That's why it's time to bring your skills and experience to one of the nation's leading providers of sustainable solutions, Waste Management.
There's so much more to waste management than what you think it is.
WM is paying a $7,500 new hire bonus to CDL truck drivers
drivers and heavy truck mechanics for immediate job opportunities at our WM site in Kansas City.
Besides the $7,500 new hire bonus, there's steady work, weekly paychecks, opportunities for overtime, paid training, a generous boot and tool allowance, and home every day.
Plus, over-the-top benefits like 100% tuition coverage for you and your family, and so much more.
Apply online today at WM.com/careers. That's WM.com/careers. Search driver and mechanic jobs in Kansas City, Kansas.
Hiring today for tomorrow. We are WM.
Where can you find steel, aluminum, brass, and stainless, and occasionally random stuff in the back? The Foot, who has an extensive line of Blue Demon welding supplies, filler, rods, and wire. The Foot, who is KC's and Topeka's only stocking dealer for Fronius professional welding equipment. The Foot, who is KC's and Topeka's only Fronius authorized service and repair center. The Foot, where can you go to take a Fronius welder for a test drive? The Foot, where can you find Colossus, your friendly neighborhood robot? The Foot, just like Colossus, Metal by the Foot stands tall and ready to help both pro and DIY warriors with their metal needs. For over 35 years, Metal by the Foot has continued to up their game by providing you with the convenience and selection of metals you have come to expect. Discover new and unique quality products to take your project and skills to the next level. Get instant pricing on most items at metalbythefoot.com. That's metalbythefoot.com. When you need a piece of metal, remember, metal doesn't have to cost an arm or a leg, just the foot.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a few clicks away. Order online and pick up curbside at your local store. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Do you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes? Good news. There's a new way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative. Call U.S. Tax Shield, A+ rated with the BBB. 800-391-5063 for your free consultation, and let U.S. Tax Shield protect you from the IRS.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goal needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Your AFC champions play right here. Proud to be the official broadcast partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. 610 Sports Radio. KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, and Odyssey Station.
All right, we're expecting to head out to Arrowhead in the next minute or two. You'll hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, also I believe Frank Clark. Is that right? Frank Clark going to speak as well. So
also, Nick, I jumped the gun. I don't know that it's white on white yet. I misread the tweet. So anti-breaking news. Don't know if it's white on white. Just assumed it was.
So I walked in late.
I tried to harass him.
He
and
asked me about missing the white on whites, and they're not even white on whites.
I don't even know.
They're just white unis, which we knew 2 days ago, by the way.
What did you see? What did you see?
I saw a tweet from James Palmer. He said Eagles green, which I thought we already knew that their uniforms were green. And then it said white, and I read it as white on white, thinking he was announcing the full uniform.
So this is mostly just a reading comprehension issue.
Yes, correct. And me jumping the gun and not double reading it before loudly announcing it on the air that I was wrong.
Also, what James Palmer reported basically has already been known then, because the Chiefs put out a video showing Mahomes in a white jersey
and the Eagles
a day ago, and the Eagles did the same thing, with green. So essentially, nothing has changed yet.
When did they announce that, by the way?
That's a great question. Next week? The team gets out there on Sunday. Maybe we'll know. I mean, opening media night is Monday night. Maybe we find out then. I don't know. Stuff like that.
Well, we're still hoping for white on white. You like red on white better than you like the red tops better than the.
I do. I think that's the classic uni. But I will say the all white is just a very clean. It's a very. I've actually never owned a white Chiefs jersey. I've owned many Chiefs jerseys throughout my time in Kansas City. I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know. To Nick's point, I think it's a clean look when you got the white pants. So unless you're getting me the football pants,
you own several pairs of white pants. We've covered this on this show.
White shorts, yeah.
And a pair of white track pants because I still feel really bad about that time that we did the wiffle ball game, and apparently I chose the wrong color for my team shirt.
It would have helped if you picked the blue, man. It would have really helped me out. It was all white.
I didn't know you were going to show me green.
You made gold like a painter.
I needed the blue shirt. Dang it!
I didn't know. We had already decided and divvied them up. I didn't know he was going to show up in white track pants.
I'll bring some of those white shorts for you for Arizona if you want to pair. I'll pack some of those.
You gonna pack some white shorts?
It's gonna be 75 and sunny in Phoenix on Sunday. I am absolutely gonna put on a pair of shorts when we land in Phoenix. Or
put
again,
them on a plane.
To annoy Nick, I'm gonna sit next to Nick on the plane with shorts so that way my hairy legs are near him since he hates that.
Nick, are you an aisle or a window seat guy?
Either way, don't care. Just not the middle.
Usually aisle.
I need some. What's the middle, Nick?
Need some leg room.
So it depends because I got a small bladder, use the restroom a lot, so I don't like sitting in the window because then I have to wait.
Right.
I have to hey, can you guys get up for me?
That's fair. Way to be courteous.
Yeah, I just don't like bothering people.
Okay. Aisle seat, team aisle seat. Nick or Cody, what are you?
I'm fine with either. Honestly, aisle or window. I don't have a particular preference.
It's a height thing, I think.
Yeah, it might be.
No, I'm serious. If that's the only reason why I carry aisle seat. If I wouldn't care.
I prefer the exit row. I'd like to be in that with all that extra spacious legroom. Big fan of that.
If you can work that, that's
my favorite
that's
seat.
That's the move. That's definitely the move.
Inside window seat, right there with the extra legroom, where there's no seat to the left of you, so you got this room to spread out. That's the one.
Nick, do you think if we tell the flight attendant, if Cody sits in the exit row, you know how they make you go through there? I need a verbal yes that you're okay. If you and I go up and say we don't feel safe with him actually being in the exit row, we're like, kick him out of the exit row.
This guy's been talking about pulling a bunch of pranks on the flight. We didn't think it was very funny, but
and now he's in the exit row. We're really concerned that he's not best equipped to help us in case of emergency.
What would you do if we made it so you couldn't even go to Phoenix?
Oh my gosh! It's
by what? Getting me on the no-fly list?
Let's go here from Andy Reid.
You did a great job of playing in that game the other day. Very courageous effort, and my heart goes out to the kid because he busted his tail. He is hurting though today. Juju has some knee swelling. He won't practice. L'Jarius Sneed's in the concussion protocol. He won't practice. And then Kadarius Toney, he won't practice with the ankle sprain, but he's close and doing well. Actually did the walkthrough today. So, listen, we look forward to the challenge of playing the Eagles. Good football team, great football team, and they've got tremendous talent. They've got good coaching, and it's a good organization. So, and I don't get to this point unless that's the case. So that's they really do a nice job. Anyways, with that, time's yours.
Coach, what are you thinking as far as Clyde Edwards-Helaire is concerned? That week you brought up Jody, but how closer is Edwards-Helaire?
Yeah, he'll practice, and we'll see where he's at. We're just taking it day by day and see kind of how he's feeling, and not only during practice but also after practice. So he'll work today.
And how did Edwards?
Yeah, he actually did well. a little stiff right after the game, but he's doing well now. So.
Andy, what are your conversations been along with veterans, all the newer guys on the team, to get them ready for what you're going to experience next week with all the hoopla and more media attention than ever?
Sure.
It's probably been.
Yeah, so we talked about that this morning and really Monday. So just giving them a heads up on kind of what to expect, and then we dug into the game plan from there. But until you get there, if you haven't been there, it's hard to explain, right? I mean, you tell them, but they got to see it. But we're giving them a heads up on all that. So,
Coach, Nick Sirianni's in his second year. You guys saw them pretty early last season. How much have they developed since you all saw them up there last year?
Yeah, first of all, Nick's done a great job with that team, as has Howie Roseman in the general manager position. So, but they're way more familiar with the schemes. They've got a great defensive scheme. They've got a great offensive scheme, and the players, they're more comfortable with both sides of that. Yeah.
And there's obviously a mix of veterans and new guys. I just wonder if there's one that you can pinpoint in the season where you can sort of see both a bond and sort of relationship developing that you felt was going to be obviously helpful and impactful.
Yeah, you had a feeling coming out of training camp. The guys seemed to get along, and as it went on, the season went on, you saw growth, especially from the young kids, that back end, the secondary, Sky Moore, some of the young guys that were getting decent play time. You could really see the growth there, and it was hard from, I'm sure, a public standpoint to see, but we were seeing it from our side, just how they handled certain plays and leverages and so on. So, but I was impressed with that. And then the new guys that were veteran players that came on, they had to get used to a new system. So a couple of them have been in systems for quite a while, and so they had to get used to a new system, new way of practicing, and all those things that go with that. So, but they tried it, and they weren't afraid to dive in and try it, and they, it worked out for them, and they got better every week. Likewise, just more familiar with the schemes. Yeah, the oldest one is Carlos. I mean, Carlos comes in and he's very, very smart. He's been in the league a long time, and so he was kind of looking around, not sure what was going on, and as far as like, what are these guys doing here? Way different than maybe what he did before, but he tried it. He bought in, and then, like I said, he's very smart, so he helped out George and the other guys, the young guys, and yet fit in with Chris, which I knew he would because they work out together during the offseason, but fit in with the other guys. So.
I know when we talk about protecting the quarterback, you always talk about I can do a better job, right? The play calling part of it is certainly an equation of the offensive line, but how much is on the quarterback? You've got the two best sacking defenses out there. How much can the quarterback, or how much does the quarterback control, whether or not he's going to get knocked out?
Yeah, I mean, if you hang on to the ball against the two fronts, you're good chance you're going to get knocked down. However, both of them can move, which is a plus. So that kind of, I'm sure both guys will evaluate that and exactly where and how they can move. How much time they have to move. So, but they have for that, and then to a point. I mean, if the play's covered, to me, that's you missed on the call. If the whole play's covered and he has to move around, there's nobody open. That's different. So.
Coach, Juju specifically has just had a lot of important snaps for you this year. How optimistic are you that the knee's been a little bit nagging and he'll be able to practice in Arizona?
Yeah, so I think he will be able to do that. He's in a good place. The main thing is that we let that calm down, and right now it's doing great. So we're very optimistic right now. And his want to is all in there. So, but we'll just see where it goes.
Andy, over the years you've gone from being coach, general manager, and having a lot of personnel control and that, and I sense now that obviously it really is all in Brett's hands. How did you arrive at sort of that concept that I should let go of that, and how much has it just sort of liberated you to just coach?
Yeah, I mean, once I started doing that, you end up time doing that, and if you're going to do it right, and so it takes away from, you can't, it's hard to do both. And so I felt like I got into this because I wanted to coach, and on top of that, I've got guys around me that are really good. Brett Veach is really good. Dorse was good, and so let those guys do their job, and then I'll focus in on the football part. Something I really wanted to get back to and enjoy, and enjoy. I enjoy that part. So.
Coach, Scott Moore after the game said that there were times this season when he didn't want to be back there with your husband because he had lost confidence. But then he said if you guys had confidence in him, he should have confidence in himself, and now he feels like he's gained that. What does that say about him that he went through that, got over it, and then he was in that spot and came through in such a big moment?
Yeah, that's comfort's a crazy deal. So you're coming off a senior year, a college year, where you're the man. You're asked to do something different, and all of a sudden you're not the man, and it's tough. How do you handle that? And so I think that was an important lesson for him to fight through whatever anxieties he had at that time about being back there, and that will carry him. That's a foundation that he'll carry with him throughout his career. That I can, if I battle and really focus and work through something, I can do it. And I think that's important for young guys. And like I said, I mean, he did it, and he's more comfortable now receiving those.
Coach, to that point, talk about having a lot of trust in your guys, even when they make mistakes throughout the season, specifically like Sky. And when you get to this point in the season, how important is that to have that trust and keep going back to those guys when you need them? At the end of the season?
They've got to feel that. I mean, the worst thing is when, okay, I had a hiccup over here, and nobody's hanging with you. You're kind of out on that island, and so I think it's important that you support them, and as long as they're willing to get better, support them. And that's what we did. It wasn't just me. I mean, it was other people too. So we saw the talent and with two different situations. I mean, Sky being the rookie and Butt's been here a while, so it was just a matter of working through it.
All right, we're going to go right across the front row, start with Karen. We'll come right here and finish up.
Coach, next week, there's a lot of distractions. So how can you have any serious work in among all of the other obligations?
You can. Yeah, you can. Ted does a good job of kind of managing that. And then it's important that we have an office. We'll have an office. Each coach will have an office, so you can focus in on that. Players will have meeting rooms. They can focus in when they're in there. So yes, you can. But on the other hand, Karen, we want to get it done here. Get the foundation of it put in here, and then when we're down there, we can go back and review it. So that's what we're doing.
And there's a lot of people that obviously are pointing out that you brought Jason and brought in two other guys too. The guys that you brought into Philadelphia.
Yeah.
What do you remember from Brandon and Fletcher and obviously they're still doing it at a real high level?
Yeah, I'm very proud of those guys. I mean, I know them personally, so I'm proud. And they are tough guys, tough-minded. They're good leaders. They're fun to be around, and they're good football players. I think generally that now each one's an individual and has its own. Each one has their own characteristics, but that in general, I would tell you that about great team guys. Yeah, and Reddick went to school. My son and both my sons. So one was coaching, one was playing.
Coach, specific to McCole Hardman, how challenging was it for him, even with this extra time, to be available for the Super Bowl?
Yeah, so I think it'll be tough for him. I mean, I doubt that he'll make the Super Bowl. But listen, like I said, he was not going to be denied the other day, and it's a tribute to the kid. He pushed himself like no other, and he's a tough nut now, man. He's all smiles with you, but when it comes down to playing, he is a tough kid.
Andy, you mentioned Nick Sirianni earlier. He was here. Everybody's talking about you being in Philly, but he was here at one point. You've had discussions with him before you kind of arranged your coaching staff. What impressed you about that David said, even though it didn't work out for him with the opportunity of your staff, that he might be a head coach and be successful?
Yeah, I love his personality. He's a guy that you can talk to and communicates well. He's got a fire to him that you appreciate and the players appreciate. A personality, I'm saying a good personality. So, and he's smart. I had a chance to talk to him, and he's a smart kid. So, I think he's perfect for Philadelphia. That's a tough place, and he's a tough kid, and he relates well with the people there.
You've got 2 weeks here, so that we'll want, but in order to install the game plan this week, did you still go through like a normal routine to come up with the game plan? Staying here overnight on Sunday night?
No, we're doing the game plan now. So today would normally be Wednesday instead of this today for us is Wednesday, even though it's Thursday to everybody else. So, but the one thing we gained as coaches is we gained an extra day to game plan. So, and you just got to take your time and make sure you're nice and thorough. We didn't rush into it, and so that's the positive. And then tomorrow is Friday. Will be like a Thursday, and Saturday will be like a Friday, and then we hop on the plane and go.
Great. And how would you categorize Marquez's season? He doesn't have obviously 1,000 yards, but good production. He's doing every game, and obviously got the season. Well, the season and the postseason, just how would you sort of describe it?
Yeah. So I think he's done a great job. He has had some huge catches for us at timely times of a game. I just big plays, and respect him for that. And great catches. These things weren't easy. I mean, he made some really nice grabs. So, and we're different than Green Bay. It's a different system than Green Bay. He's another one of those guys that's adapted and done it with a smile on his face. And so it's not something where you're pulling teeth with him. He's done a real nice job of accepting all the newness of the offense.
All right, thank you.
All right, that was Andy Reid out at Arrowhead. A lot there. We're expected to hear from Mahomes in the next minute or so, but unfortunate news for McCole Hardman. Andy Reid was asked about his injury status. He said, quote, "It'll be tough for him. I doubt he will make the Super Bowl." So we might have seen the last game from McCole Hardman in the Chiefs uniform. That'll be an off-season, of course, discussion. But let's go right back out there and hear from number 15. How you doing?
Did you take any steps backwards after the game in trying to get your ankle healthy? Did you have to redo anything before you could go forward?
No, I don't think so. I just was generally sore, I think, from the game. And it was a physical game. I mean, my whole body was a little sore. So I don't think I had any step backwards or anything like that. I know, like, re-aggravation of the ankle, the little bit of pain I had playing with it. But other than that, I feel like I'm in a good spot.
Matt, you know, on that last run of the game, you know, that was one of your fastest runs, you know, in your time in the league. What does that just say to how much passion and adrenaline was flowing through you through that moment?
Yeah, I think it was a big moment, obviously, so you have some adrenaline pumping. And I had to get the first down, and I had a pretty fast dude chasing me, and I've always said I'm just faster than the guy chasing me, so that was probably the reason I ran that fast.
Patrick, obviously, there's some historical significance going into this game with being Jalen Hurts. That this is occurring in Black History Month. How much more special does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, to be on the world stage and have two black quarterbacks start in the Super Bowl, I think it's special. And I've learned more and more about the history of the black quarterback since I've been in this league. And the guys that came before me and Jalen set the stage for this. And now I'm just glad that we can kind of set the stage for guys that are kids that are coming up now. And so it'll be a great game against two great teams and against another great quarterback. So I'm excited to go out there and try to do what we can to win against a great team.
Patrick, to follow up on what Herb was saying, just you mentioned the future and all the players that have looked up to you, and I'm sure they also look at Jalen too. What do you sense that the future going forward for that quarterback because of this? That this is working on for you guys, means for you that we have.
Yeah, I think you've seen over time whenever a guy like Doug Williams or Michael Vick or Donovan McNabb go out and play great football, it gives other guys like me and Jalen chances to have this platform and have this spot on the an NFL team. And so if we can continue to show that we can consistently be great, I think it'll just continue to open doors for other kids growing up to follow their dreams and be a quarterback of an NFL team. And it's good that we have guys like Jalen on the other side because he's a great person and obviously a great quarterback.
Have you heard over the last couple of days, have you heard from Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray or any other Justin Fields, any of them? Have they reached out to you? I
haven't heard from them this week, but I mean, I know I talk to those guys every once in a while. We have a lot of great quarterbacks in this league, and I'm glad that I'm a part of it. And we'll continue to evolve the game and set the standard the right way. And it's happened before us, and we'll continue to go after us as well.
You mentioned against the Eagles last year. How has their defense changed since what we saw last year?
Yeah, I mean, they have a great defensive coordinator, first off. He does a lot of different things. Their scheme has evolved because of the players that he has. They have great all-pro Pro Bowlers at every single level. And so they continue to add talent, man. And they have a lot of great players, veteran players and mixed with young players. And, I mean, they're one of the and I don't know if they're number one, but they're one of the top defenses in the league for a reason. And they get after the quarterback, so it'll be a great challenge for us to go out there and try to have some success.
Patrick, I mentioned last year just how one mistake in the second half, not led to two mistakes and three mistakes. You had it obviously a pretty unusual mistake in the second half this time. Did it enter your mind that one mistake is the same, one mistake, but an off-season thing?
Yeah, I think it was just an in-game thing more than anything. It wasn't something I thought about in the off-season, but I think when you've been in some big games now a couple years in a row, you've learned from your mistakes. And I felt like the year before, I let one mistake kind of compound into 2, 3, or whatever it was, whereas this game, this last one, instead of worrying about, man, I made a huge mistake and we probably could have had a good chance of not putting the game away, but giving ourselves a big lead. Let's not magnify it. Let's just move on to the next play. Continue what you were doing throughout the entire game. And we didn't necessarily have a ton of yards after that, but I didn't make another mistake. And then whenever the time came, I was able to make a play in order to get us in the field goal range.
Patrick, on the run, we were talking earlier at the end of the game. There's plenty of photos. I'm not saying you weren't, hit illegally. There's plenty of photos showing where you were. You were out of bounds when you were hit. But is there kind of an art form to maybe help and sell it? Was there a little acting that helps out? Because you're moving, like you said, at a high rate of speed. That can be kind of dangerous. You throw yourself down like that.
Yeah, I think it was more. The most pain I had was stopping. So once he pushed me, it would have been hard to put my foot in the ground and try to stop. So I kind of just I rolled through it, and you get over there with the heaters and the benches and people. That's where a lot of times people get hurt, and I think that's the reason that there's a flag for getting pushed out of bounds like that late. And so once I got pushed, I just tried to roll and try to not hurt people and not hurt myself. And the flag was called. I mean, I was pretty far out of bounds. It was probably the furthest I've been out of bounds before I've been hit. So I rolled through it. The flag was thrown the right way, and it got us into field goal range.
Patrick, you mentioned on a couple of occasions that during the 19 season, it almost felt easy, like this is what happens all the time. 20 you guys go back, wasn't the same thing as the COVID, and now you're going to explore the spectacle that is the Super Bowl. How much sweeter do you think it will be just knowing how hard it is to get there, and how much more you think you'll enjoy it?
Yeah, no, it'll be awesome, man. And you get there the first time, and you don't know what to expect, and you're kind of going through a whirlwind of media days, and you have practice, but it's not the normal schedule you usually have, and meetings and trying to find time to watch film and everything like that. Whereas now you have a plan. Chad was with me last time, so I have a plan with him already. We're going to be able to go out there and do what we usually do throughout a week with the added stuff that we have to do. And so it's nice to have that experience before. I can teach other guys and help them along as well, because even though it's the same team, we have a lot of new players. And so I'm excited to get these guys down there to get that experience. And at the end of the day, you want to win the game. So I just want to make sure those guys keep that in mind.
You mentioned teaching the young guys, but when you look back on 2019, what was that one thing that you wish you would have known that you were sharing with those guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just trying to give them a blueprint of how the week goes. Obviously, you can see it on the schedule, but I want them to see it from a player's perspective of how much stuff do you have to do outside of football and how you can still manage that and get your stuff done the right way. And so the Super Bowl week special, it's a special week. But it's not about being down there for the week of the Super Bowl. It's about winning the game, and I want guys to keep that at the front of mind. And so enjoy it. Enjoy the whole entire week, but make sure you're prepared to go out there and play your best football as well.
Okay, questions?
One more, guys. We're going to start with Adam. Go ahead. Patrick, after playing with MBS for a full season now, what are the things you've learned about him as a player?
Yeah, he's extremely talented, man. He works extremely hard. He's extremely talented. Obviously, anytime you have a new guy, you have to get on that same page. I think y'all saw that throughout the season. But at the end of the day, what I saw was he was getting open, and I just had to make the throws. And so even in the last game, I feel like there was throws I made that weren't necessarily the perfect passes, and he was able to make plays happen. And he does a good job of not only running his own routes, but when he was kind of that last guy out there, he was helping other guys get in the right position. And so that's a testament to him studying the game plan and knowing the entire concept of the game plan and not just his routes.
I remember, Patrick, how high you were on Isaiah during camp. Given where he is now, just where do you feel like you had to help him get through this rookie season? And were there other veteran guys that you can tell that had an impact on where he is now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he was extremely talented and had all the tools and wanted to work, and I think that was a big thing. And as he learned patience and able to hit the hole and still get those extra yards, but having patience, you saw the run game take off, and then protection-wise, he's gotten better and better and doesn't make the same mistake. And so it took all of us to help him, and obviously I had some impact there, but I think Jerick McKinnon was probably the biggest impact for him, and he was willing to teach. And y'all see Jerick blocking and running routes and doing all and running the football and how much of the veteran presence he is, but he's basically like a coach too, because he can coach those young guys up and get them in the right position as well. And it takes great leaders like that in order to have a great team.
We'll ask you, Blair, and then Steve. Go, Blair. Patrick, it's also the first Super Bowl with two former Big 12 quarterbacks are facing off against each other forever. The Big 12 quarterbacks has were in the NFL. So what is it about the style of the league in the last 10 years since that allows this to happen?
Yeah, first, I know the SEC's gonna be mad because Alabama tries to claim Jalen as well, so they'll be a little angry about you calling him a Big 12 quarterback. But it's cool, man. I think you saw that 3 of the quarterbacks in the Final Four were Big 12 quarterbacks, and I think you just get past that stigma of your air raid quarterback. You don't know how to handle NFL offense, and to see that guys can come from anywhere, man. I think you see that in all of football's history is players can come from big colleges, they can come from small colleges. Whatever conference that is, and they can have success. You just got to be willing to work and willing to learn. And that's something that I think you see between me and Jalen is you have guys that want to get better and want to do whatever they can to win football games.
Last two, Stephen, then Dave.
Patrick, with Brady retiring, a lot of people feel like the baton passes to you truly to be the face of the league, the best quarterback in the league. Is that any extra responsibility to you now that he's gone and you really are the guy that most people look at as the face of this league?
Yeah, I mean it's it's not, I don't think, any extra responsibility. I mean, I'm just trying to go out there and win football games and win championships, and this is the biggest game of them all. And so it's not about being the face of the league or anything like that. It's about being the best teammate you could possibly be, and doing whatever you can to win football games. And the other stuff kind of handles itself. And it's obviously a good part of it. If you're winning Super Bowls, usually you get a little bit more media and a few more commercials, I guess you would say. But at the end of the day, man, I just want to get in this building, be with my teammates, and go out there and win football games.
Last one, Dave.
I know you've got a lot of pride in being from Texas, and this is the first time 2 quarterbacks from Texas will meet in the Super Bowl. Do you remember Jalen at all coming out here a little bit ahead of him? And then also, how did Texas go from being the state of Earl Campbell and Eric Dickerson to the state of Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts quarterback?
Yeah, I think it's just in Texas, it's been a program of building football players up for a long time, and they're still the great running backs, they're still the great receivers, the great tight ends, whatever you want to say. But I think you've seen with just the way we're taught at a young age and 7-on-7 and everything like that, the quarterbacks are starting to even become more and more of a thing. But I mean, we've had guys like Drew Brees and Nick Foles and I mean, Baker's in the league now, Jalen, me. I mean, there's been guys that have been in the league now, but to have this stage to show what Texas football is all about, I bragged all my PA guys because they claim that they have the best state in football because of the history. But I'm like, I'm talking about the present. I think Texas has it going right now.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that's Patrick Mahomes. Asked quite a bit about his college days and just the fact that not only is it the first Super Bowl ever with 2 black quarterbacks, but first Super Bowl with 2 12 quarterbacks. And he mentioned
that's a stretch.
Jalen Hurts a couple years in Alabama, but he finished his career at Oklahoma.
Do you know that Patrick Mahomes was the first Big 12 quarterback ever to win a playoff game?
Back in 2019.
First one to win a playoff game ever. Now, look, people got all mad because the Big 8 had a bunch of quarterbacks. I'm talking about the Big 12. The Big 8 was nothing like the Big 12. There's a bunch of teams that were different. He was the first Big 12 quarterback to ever win a playoff game.
Yeah, also the Big 12 doesn't carry over a lot of the Big 8 stats anyway. But let's go back out there and hear from playoff Frank Clark.
The preparation here, and what you know to expect next week.
Just keep doing the same thing you've been doing. Stay focused on the task. Just keep doing what you've been doing. Don't change nothing. Don't switch up too much. Don't invite any more, too many more people. I mean, I know it's a Super Bowl, but just try your best to keep everything the same. At least that's what I'm doing.
Is that possible next week?
I think it is. I think our coaches do a great job of trying to mimic the environments that we are in at home. Meaning Kansas City, to try to keep it all the same with family, especially. I think that's on us usually. That's usually the biggest distraction is families and people pulling you left and right for events and different things. So I think it's imperative that you just stay focused on the task at hand. It's just playing football. Still, we still have a goal. Everybody else may not understand that, or they may be on party timing. But like the first Super Bowl, what I experienced. You got family going out, you got friends going out, you got teammates that's not required to be in the hotel going out. So it could have you thinking like, man, damn, I'm missing something. You're not missing nothing. You enjoy way, way much more after the game, when you win.
Frank, you guys played.
Just in generally speaking, what does Chris Jones do for the rest of the linemen as a whole?
Man, he does I feel like he just does a great job, helping out, making players understand the significance, the game plan, especially when it's, directed towards him. I feel like he opens up a lot of opportunities for a lot of those guys inside, especially when he's, causing so much attention to come his way, and things like that. We speak on it and we harp on it a lot, with the interior guys, we're like, yo, Chris getting this, this double team, or if we know the slide's coming this way, we got to take advantage of that, take advantage of a lot of things. So on that note, I'll be able to talk to you more about it after the Super Bowl.
Made about the trash talk that the Bengals had, and a lot of people want to write the narrative that that's why you guys raised your game. And I know all of you had your comments, you got the last word in, after the game. But as you look back on it, I mean, does that make you play better? Did you rise to another level because somebody else talked you guys down?
I feel like to a certain extent, certain players did probably. If you know me, man, I kind of play the same type of way usually around this time, and it's like one of those things. Like, you just gotta know who you playing with. I mean, you got a team who's speaking on certain things, and they speaking on running the AFC or different things like that to that extent. you know, it's just one of those classic examples of, you talk the trash after the game. You know what I mean? That's kind of what we did, kind of let them have it. You know, they deserved it, though. I mean, when you beat a team 3 times in a row, you do it decisively. You take the game away after we was up, three scores in the, first half, whatever you want to call it. You have the right to say those different things. You have and it's a game at the end of the day. You want to have fun with it. It's the season, and you want to have fun with it. It's slowly becoming one of our rivals in the season. Unfortunately, that's not the team, we're talking about no more. They got a whole nother year to wait. They got to watch us play some football now, man. So, it's about the Chiefs and the Eagles right about now.
Frank, you missed the Eagles game last year. You were hurt that week. What do you remember about the study for that and maybe what you saw in that game and how much different they are now? Because that was pretty early in the regime of the new coaching staff.
Yeah, it looks like Hurts. It looked like he's very, he's way more comfortable in the offensive scheme now. I believe this is his 3rd year in the scheme. 2-6 didn't play last time. I think they have 14 at running back. 2-6 didn't play at all. As we know, he's having a great season. I believe he's sitting at 11 touchdowns, like 1276, 1250 something rushing yards. At the end of the day, when you putting those type of numbers, offensively, the quarterback he's playing like a running back as well. So 13 touchdowns. At the end of the day, when you putting up those like Lamar Jackson numbers in 2019, if you're not aware, when you putting up those type of numbers offensively, running the ball, rushing the ball, it's going to open up a lot of other things. So in turn, you're starting to see the passing game open up for Jalen Hurts. You got a lot of screens and stuff with 88, the tight end, and number 6, Devontae Smith. You got it's opening up deep ball and shots to 11. It's doing a host of things. The offensive line is looking pretty strong as a unit. I feel like the tackles are playing some good football. Lane, he's playing some of the best football of his career. Veteran guy who's continuing to show what he can do. And like I said, man, this is Jalen Hurts show. At the end of the day, if you can, stop what he's doing, you can possibly slow him down. But he's been playing some great football.
What are some of the challenges specifically for your position going up against the read option and quarterback that runs the ball so effectively like Jalen Hurts?
Well, this is a college type of running scheme, the type of offensive scheme. And I don't mean like, the level that they're on. It's just you start to see 2013 Ohio State Buckeyes, Jim Tressel, that type of offense, where this type of scheme was getting introduced, early on. I kind of was a part of that group, where this was coming around, so I understand it fully. It's a lot of discipline type of things at the end. He's kind of coming out keying. If you remember back then, Jim Tressel, he used to actually always key to the ends. It was a defensive end. He keyed to defensive ends. Watch the defensive ends. They were disciplined. If they stayed on the line of scrimmage, read options, read zones, different things like that, just to slow them down, read zones with screen looks and stuff to see if they ran to the ball and things like that. So it was a scheme basically to slow down the defensive ends, to get them to play a disciplined style of game, and I feel like that's what we're going to get a lot of. We got a great offense, man. They're a very high power, they're a high scoring offense, second to us. But at the end of the day, when you're able to, do a lot of things that they're able to do, give a lot of mixed looks, it kind of makes it hard on the defensive line.
Nate, Phil, let's go to Nate.
Frank, there was a moment that NFL Films caught between you and Andy after Sunday's game. You said that you told Andy that you loved him. I just wanted to follow up and ask, why do you love Andy?
I love him because of the man he is first, not the coach, the man he is. And I feel like if you know him from that standpoint, you'll be able to attest to what I'm saying. A lot of guys know him as a coach, and they only see the coach side of him. I've actually been fortunate enough to see the other side of him, where I've had a lot of conversations with him, from that standpoint, and just, helping me become a better father, helping me understand life a little bit more in some of my tougher situations that I have to endure over the last 2 years. And just sticking by me, understanding that, guys do have, some bad times. Guys do, F up sometimes, but, sometimes you got to have, those guys there. It's the guys there for those guys that mess up, are just important, for me. And for him, for me, having Coach Reid there, was big, you know, because my father, man, he passed a few years ago, you know what I'm saying? I lost my father in the house fire a few years ago, so, you know, the father figures, you know, are thereof have lacked at times, you know what I mean? And having a guy like that, you know, I spend a lot of time with Coach, you know what I mean? We spend, 70% of our week we at the building. You know, we ain't here from 8 in the morning to 6 at night sometimes, you know, in campus even longer. So I spent a lot of time with Andy, and we've grown, we have a great relationship. So, you know, the things we ever talk about on the record and things we talked about off the record have shaped our relationship and, you know, brought us so close, man. Feel like I'm able to talk about anything. And just, you know, winning that game, man, was, you know, one of those things. We kind of pissed it off the second year together, you know what I mean? We lost out in Tampa Bay last year. You know, Bengals came in and got rid of us, and, you know, just to be able to get back, you know, my fourth year here is just dope.
Sam? Every Sundays, you guys all come over the last against you guys. I know you guys disagree, but how much do you factor in referring the games and the style of play?
I don't know. You know what I mean? The refs, their job is to call the game as fair as possible. I don't never look past it as that. If it is something else going on, you know, all the politics within, I don't look at that. It's the NFL, man. Hopefully they call the game the right way, you know, to the best of their ability, and that's all I can look forward to, man.
Last one. Frank, this is sort of like a Michigan Wolverine type of question. You appreciate the school, but Tom Brady is now retired, also another fellow Michigan Wolverine. You sacked him in your career. What are your thoughts on him as he rides off into the sunset?
You know, I wish him nothing but the best, but, you know, I mean, like he said before, he had his one, you know. That's it.
That was Frank Clark. Frank Clark's asked about Tom Brady's retirement. And if you want to pop that down, C-Dot, who's running the board for Nick. How about that? C-Dot running the board, baby. That's
been a while.
That's all the way around.
Clutch.
That's impressive. No, but how great was that at the end? Herbie asked Frank Clark, anything you're a Michigan guy, what do you make of Tom Brady retiring? And Frank goes, you know, I get nothing but the best for Tom, but
he got his one.
Like he said, he got his last year. And that was all he had to say about it. He didn't want to talk. He didn't give anyone
Single most accomplished player in American sports history, probably just like, I know, whatever.
He did not want to give any love.
Frank has been all business in these last 2-week press conferences.
Yes.
Which, I like it. That's the whole playoff Frank mindset.
A lot to get to after we heard from Mahomes, Frank, and Andy Reid. Coming up next, though, I want to talk more about McCole Hardman. Unfortunate news. It sounds like, based on Andy Reid's comments, that McCole Hardman will not be available for the Super Bowl. What does that mean for him, his time in Kansas City, and also maybe some better news on the Juju route? We'll get to that coming up next here on Cody and Gold.
This is Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss Royals first baseman / NFL insider, Vinny Pasquantino, this football season with Cody and Gold.
My Twitter is about to unload of football tweets. First Jets game that I have free on Sunday. It's go time.
610 Sports Radio.
This is for all you guys on Viagra. ED pills are no longer needed. The brutal side effects like 4-hour headaches, blurred vision, and that flush feeling can all be put behind you with our treatment. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we have a better approach to ED. Acoustic wave therapy creates blood flow circulation by safely removing the plaque in your arteries and restoring function naturally. Guys, let me be clear. Pills will never fix your problem. Our equipment is the latest technology, and our medical staff is the best in the industry. And right now, we're offering a free treatment just for coming in. That's right. You can try this treatment at no cost. If you suffer from ED or Peyronie's disease, give West Coast Men's Health a call today. It's not just about better health. It's about a better life.
Call now, 913-363-9439. That's 913-363-9439. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Guys, fellas, men, are you ready? I mean Roman ready for Valentine's Day? Some say it's the sexiest day of the year. Flowers, chocolates, candlelit dinners. That's all great. But I think we all want something a little more physical, too. Because a strong sex life can deepen your feelings of intimacy with your partner and lead to increased happiness. So if you're prepping for Valentine's Day, right now is the perfect time to check out Roman. Roman has genuine medication that helps you achieve and maintain a strong erection. Roman has discreet wipes that help you last 4 times longer in bed. Roman has testosterone treatment. Treating low testosterone can help revive your sex drive. And better yet, with Roman, everything is online. No waiting rooms and no hassle. Roman sends everything right to your door with free shipping and in discreet packaging. So, men, for better sex this Valentine's Day, go to ro.co/VDay. Do it today and get 20% off. That's ro.co/VDay.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Milk, eggs, $42. Ma'am, you okay?
Need bucks? With Jackson Hewitt, don't wait weeks for the IRS to send your tax refund. Come in now for up to $3,500 with a no-interest, no-fee refund advance loan when you file your taxes. That's up to $3,500 today. Don't let high prices get you down. When every dollar matters, it matters who does your taxes. So get to Jackson Hewitt today. For eligible clients, loans by Republic Bank and Trust Company. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
When temperatures drop, COVID-19 cases may rise. So, if you test positive and are at high risk, act fast, even if your symptoms feel mild. Ask your provider if an authorized oral treatment could be right for you. Visit treatcovid19.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Back here on Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Nick Schwartz with you. So we heard from Andy, and he talked about McCole Hardman, who, of course, gave it a go in the AFC title game, got really hit, I would say, 2 or 3 times separately, pretty hard, and unfortunately could not come back in the game. At that moment, you wondered what the injury was. Did he re-aggravate again? What still is a mystery injury. It's to us, at least publicly, it's a pelvic injury, and Andy said that he doubts that McCole Hardman is going to play in the Super Bowl. He said, quote, it will be tough for him. I doubt he will make the Super Bowl, which means we may have already seen the last game of McCole Hardman's Kansas City Chiefs career, which obviously not the way he would have wanted to end it, not being able to play in the Super Bowl. We can get into like whether or not you think it actually is his last game, but also this was a guy that I would say for a team that had the run that they have had, he probably took as much heat as other than Dan Sorensen at times. Like, I mean, honestly, McCole Hardman, I'm not saying it was always unnecessary, but he probably
Frank Clark got some of his.
Right. But
he just had like great moments where he didn't get buried.
I think McCole Hardman, because of where he was drafted, also let's remember the circumstances around the pick, what was going on away from it.
They took him because it seemed like Tyreek Hill might not be available to play.
Right. And so that was part of the thought with the pick as well. And he never developed into a number one wide receiver. He's developed into a guy that's going to have, I think I both said, a very long career in the NFL, assuming he's healthy, right? He's going to have a very long career, but he's never going to be the guy that is a number 1 or number 2. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that if you want to draft him where you drafted him. But he took a lot of criticism in Kansas City. And this year it felt like he was actually going to have a year and then just couldn't stay healthy, couldn't get back on the football field.
So it absolutely sucks that he's unavailable for the bowl. Obviously, we talked a lot about
they better
how
have
he
Tony.
does.
They better have Tony's ankle healthy.
Yeah, and Andy sounded maybe more optimistic about his than even Juju Smith-Schuster's. So I know, like, in a weird way, because it's not the soft tissue stuff, I actually do feel a little bit better.
100%.
Because I've seen how long and how often the, like, hamstring stuff can drag him down. So I feel like, yeah, that's a more concerning line. Because he does add another element to their offense. That's the thing I'll say about the draft pick. For why, if somebody tried to be like, hey, I was a bust of a second-round pick. Okay, chill. It wasn't a bust. He is a valuable and was a valuable member of a team who went to 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. He was never the biggest reason. He was never the biggest reason they won. He was very rarely the biggest reason they lost in games they lost to. He was just a functional piece. You can do worse than that for a second-round pick. But he underperformed. Okay, he live up to the expectation based on how high he went. And he's going to get buried because anybody who's on the text line is going to point out the fact the players who are taken in or around him are A.J. Brown, D.K. Metcalf, Deontay Johnson, and people don't even mention his name as much anymore because he had a bit of a bad year. Terry McLaurin, et cetera, et cetera. We know how good that wide receiver draft class was, and that the Chiefs ended up with McCole Hardman, who ended up being a role player for this team essentially in those 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think whatever word you want to come up with, I mean, it probably would be disappointing would be probably how people would describe the playing career in Kansas City. That doesn't mean that his entire career is going to be that, but 4 years, I mean, his best season was last year. 693 yards. That's why there was some excitement maybe to a certain extent heading into this year. Like, okay, you don't have Tyreek Hill, quote-unquote, blocking you anymore. This is your opportunity. And then they went and they signed Juju, and, of course, they signed MVS. And then McCole this year is just really unfortunate. A guy ended up only playing in 8 games, and that is going to end his season around 297 yards and 4 touchdowns. But, yeah, for the actual this season, this game, this Super Bowl, Tony's ankle is really important to heal up for this game. If not, you're talking about Justin Watson being clearly the punt returner. And then after that, it goes back to Sky Moore. I mean, because we know Tony and Hardman were 2 guys that could return punts from you. So you need Tony available. If not, you got Justin Watson, and then it's back down to Sky Moore, who obviously is playing with more confidence after what happened in the game. But, yeah, it takes away a red zone option. We know McCole Hardman had 4 touchdown games. Right? I mean,
and he scored. That's the one thing. Like, for all the stats,
he had 4 receiving, 6 touchdowns in 8 games overall.
Yeah, and Jerick McKinnon essentially just ate all that up the second that he went away, right? Like, so McCormick went away, and Jerick McKinnon's like, it's cool. I'll catch all the touchdowns, no problem. And I know that sounds like a simple solution, but they're more versatile without McCole Hardman. That's the one thing this time in Kansas City, because for all the things you'd be like, hey, he didn't score enough. Dude scored touchdowns. Like, pretty frequently scored touchdowns. In 4 years, he scored 18 touchdowns. That's a pretty good amount for a guy who only started 26 games and played in less than 60.
Played in less than 60, but I will say, like, I don't think it'd be fair to put, injury prone or anything like that.
Oh, no, he played in full seasons in each of the previous years. He wasn't a starter, but he played in every game.
16 in his rookie year, 16 in 2020, 17 in 2021, and then, again, just 8 this year. So it'll be interesting to see what the market's like for him in the offseason. That will dictate also what is the likelihood the Chiefs do try to bring him back if they're interested. We know it's a weak wide receiver class, but he's also unfortunately coming off a year in which he's only going to have 297 yards.
The one part that confuses, that I guess surprises me about this is this does end up making the Tony trade matter
even more.
Like, every time we get close to it, he's like, well, it's the Super Bowl and McCole Hardman's not going to be available. Sure, nice. They traded for Tony. At the time when they traded for Tony, I'm like, you don't need to do this. Come on. Number 1 offense in the NFL. This guy's never done anything in the NFL. What are we doing here? Why you give up a 3rd-round pick for a guy who can't get on the field? Like, talk about injury prone. With Tony, it was more than fair to ask whether or not he was ever going to be healthy for his NFL career. Hell, it's still more than fair to ask that because he's continued to have injury trouble since being in Kansas City. McCole was a healthy, stable figure. I would mostly describe, I would mostly describe his era as being gadgety or, role player. But I don't think he was a bad player. Like, it's weird because, like, we've mentioned all the other ones that could go poorly. Like, first year in Sky Moore did. Like, right now, I would borderline almost sign up for Sky Moore to have McCole's career. I know that's selling him a little short because you haven't seen him play yet. But if you can guarantee me, like, 650 yards a season, I don't know that, like, right now, Sky Moore hasn't proven that that's the level his play to, and certainly Sky Moore's up against more competition because the wide receiver room was deeper. But like there were always flashes with McCole. His speed was kind of a match. I don't know if this means. I kind of think this is his last. Like, I know that his last game in a Chiefs uniform is the one you just watched because I know that it would kind of make sense for him to just like take a 1-year prove-it deal, but I still don't think that makes any sense in Kansas City with a very potentially crowded wide receiver room. We don't really know because Juju.
That, though, makes it, I think, very unlikely anybody's giving him a multi-year deal, though.
Yeah, so he's going 1 year with somebody.
And so that opens it up. You're right that he might be higher up on the depth chart. He might, for somebody.
For a 1-year deal on somebody else's
but
team.
Maybe with a bad team, a bad quarterback. And so in his mind, this is the calculation that him and his agent are going to have to figure out, right? Is it better for me to maybe be on a bad team with a bad quarterback on a 1-year deal as the number 2 or 3 option and have
$10 million
and have maybe a chance to blow up and have that 800-plus yard season that everybody's been waiting to see if it can happen? Or am I better off being the 3rd or 4th fourth option back in Kansas City. I'm familiar with the offense. I got the best quarterback in the league.
Get my 650 yards, and everyone will still tell me I'll get more for them.
We'll find out how interested the Chiefs are.
If you were his agent, what would you tell him to do? I know you root for the Chiefs.
Yeah, if the Chiefs wanted him, I think if I'm McColl, I would sign a 1-year deal again with Kansas City. I still have an offense that I know works for me versus going somewhere else where maybe that offense doesn't work for me. I got a bad quarterback on a team that's not going to make the playoffs. These are – I guess some of it would depend. On 1-year deals. Now, if someone would have – before the injury, he would have been getting multi-year deals. That's a different conversation.
Or if a team with a good quarterback calls, and he'll still give you the 1-year deal. Like the Chargers called, or it doesn't really matter the team. The Jaguars call because they seem to pay every wide receiver in the free agency period. But it's just a matter of if a good quarterback team called, I'd probably feel a little bit different. It's going to make it a challenge for them. But the Chiefs have learned to play this year without McCole Hardman, so there's no reason for this to send you into a panic about how they're going to function as an offense without him.
Yeah, someone on the text line, I don't think this is really close at all. Someone from the 913, you could text us, 913-586-7610, says, was McCole better than Dat? Talking about DeAnthony Thomas. Yes, he was. I just pulled it up too, by the way.
I think my answer is yes. I'd like to maybe look at some stats.
Go ahead and confirm your answer is yes, because it's not even close.
Okay.
I was about to say, what did DeAnthony Thomas?
Thomas didn't do anything.
DeAnthony Thomas, rookie year, 23 catches, $156. Second year, only played in 10 games, 140 yards, 35 yards the next year, 140 the year after that. Yeah, it's not even close.
You could have actually made him much stronger. You should have said, was he better than Dexter McCluster?
That's probably
You'd had a real argument with Dexter McCluster because now Dexter McCluster ran some too. But
DeAnthony Thomas played in more games than McCole and never in his career hasn't even got over 500 yards in his entire career.
Seems like we're starting to rewrite history on McCole Hardman.
That's crazy.
Dexter McCluster's scrimmage yards years were 280, 844, 522, 516, 328, 507. He's better than both.
Falling short of stardom in the NFL does not make you a bust. He had a useful role.
I think Chiefs fans will want to call him a bust, even though he had a good part. He had a good part in like a bunch of things.
He's one of the more during this run. He is at the number 2, number 3 on the list, the most criticized player during this 5-year run or 4-year run.
Because he was a second-round draft pick, and people were hoping that he would be a stud, and all the other guys that were drafted ahead of him.
Disappointing. By the way, disappointing is a very fair way to describe it. It's definitely disappointing, but it's not a bust, and it's not he was terrible or that's ridiculous.
Gold, did you do remember that he was drafted after DK Metcalf, right?
I've heard that a few times.
Before DK Metcalf.
I've heard that before Tim McLaurin as well.
Yeah, I've heard that a couple of times.
And right near A.J. Brown. So.
I've heard that. I don't know if you guys were recalled in 27 or all. John Ross, he was drafted before Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I do. He's actually members of the Chiefs now.
They are,
so it's okay. Futures contract for John Ross. I'm glad they're back together.
They're teammates now.
Jamal Adams and Corey Davis was drafted before Mahomes too. And, yeah.
Corey Davis.
Random
Corey
question.
Davis was the number 5 pick overall in the draft that year by the Titans. Whoops.
Well, that was just a miserably bad election.
I don't even have to bring up Trubisky. We already know that, but Corey Davis. Oof.
They should feel very bad about that. The random question of the day brought to you by the window source of Kansas City. For you, Gold. For you, Nick. And over in the text line, 913-586-7610. I want to know whether or not this gentleman should be allowed to identify by his hobby instead of his actual profession. So this is a very popular Reddit post, just asking the normal questions you see all the time, right? Am I the a-hole? This guy has spent over 500 hours on a flight simulator. He was being introduced by his wife at a work party, Gold, and she introduced him by his job, which he's like the manager of like a fast food restaurant. No big deal, right?
Okay.
Said, hey, this is what he does. And he said, and then he reintroduced himself to those same work friends of hers as, no, I'm a pilot, to which they got to a public spat because he's not a pilot. He's never flown a plane. He doesn't have a pilot's license, but he would like to identify as his hobby as that is something that more closely relates to who he thinks he is than his actual profession. Should he be allowed to call himself a pilot?
No. If someone says, what do you do for a living? And he
500 hours though on that thing.
And he is not he doesn't get paid to fly, then you are not a pilot as far as your profession. You can say you like to fly. I fly on the side. Doesn't work whatsoever.
You can say that even if it's not an actual plane. This is all in a simulator, remind you. None of this is an actual plane.
He can say he likes to fly and he fly, but that's it. Even saying you fly is pushing it. But you sure as hell can't introduce yourself as a pilot.
You think that's a stretch, huh?
Yes.
Nick, what's your biggest hobby? It'd be like,
Cody,
is it
if
like
you play
Nick saying, I'd like to be identified as a golfer?
If you play Call of Duty, the video game, do you go around and act as if you were in the military or something? Or you play Navy
I think
SEALs?
that would just be like,
Actually, you know what?
Yeah.
To be fair, a lot of guys who do play Call of Duty then feign expertise on like military tactics and stuff.
Just as ridiculous.
What, like they actually know what to do in a field of battle?
Well, they'll start using like like going
Buzzwords.
flank. Yeah, we need to flank them.
Do you think they know what that means, or is that just like?
I think they've got a baseline
Do you
understanding.
think that they know what flank means?
Okay, anybody who's played Call of Duty online knows exactly what I'm talking about. Those guys who think because they play Call of Duty every night are now military.
This guy is also so embarrassed by what he does that he's basically lying to people that he's a pilot? Or does he just really love the flight simulator?
I think it's a little of both. If we're being honest, based on this post, I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, you can't.
But like, you cannot ask your wife with her work friends to introduce you by a fake job.
Like, would you go and say you bake for a living?
No, I'm not I'm not a professional baker. I just do that as a hobby.
We have it. Cody's admitted he is not a professional baker.
I just do it as a hobby. It's like and also I don't know that I've done it for 500 hours. This guy's clearly put a lot of time. Also, if you like the flight simulator that amount, why didn't you just become a pilot?
Well, maybe he couldn't. Maybe he couldn't pass that, and maybe he could go to flight school. Text line's correct as well. We've all played. I played Madden a ton. I clearly NFL head coach. Clearly, I've called enough plays on Madden, and I'm clearly an NFL head coach.
Well, you understand situational, down and distance, fourth down, when to go for it, when not to go for it, timeout management.
I mean, just imagine how embarrassed Lindsay would be for you if she introduced you to some of her work friends, and you're like, "I'm a golfer." You're like, "Wow, you're a professional. You're a golfer
this
for
is
a
actually
living."
funny. This is actually funny. It makes me think of something else. Lindsay and I actually did play this game sometimes, and we'll play it with friends. What would be your rock bottom in life? Like a realistic rock bottom. Not to say, like hypothetically, so Gold would never say, oh, I get addicted to crack and sell everything I own. That's obviously not on the table. But like my personal rock bottom that would be like somewhat realistic would be I would give up my job and I would like move to Scottsdale and try to make it on the PGA Tour, right? That would be my rock bottom.
Because you wouldn't get anywhere close.
Of course, but I could maybe convince myself that, you know what, if I just dedicated myself to it, I can get down to like a 2 handicap. So I think what is happening here is this guy has hit his rock bottom.
Oh, no. You think this guy's hit his rock bottom?
Yeah, I think he has.
People in the text line, it's spastic right now.
I'm pretty sure my rock bottom
careers.
is hosting like being a DJ in like Salina, Kansas for like a country music station.
But why would you?
This is my nightmare. It's like all of it together. It's like small town or Dodge City. Like small town city country music station would be the worst.
How would it get to that point?
How would I just fall further into that doldrums?
What decisions would you make?
Text line's making
some.
some.
Get fired from this radio job. Just got divorced.
Text line's making some up for you. You don't even have to think of them. It says Cody gets fired from 610, starts making scones at Panera for a living.
And convince myself I could open my own shop.
See, that's what it would be for you. You would convince yourself that you can make it big because your scones are the best scones on the planet.
And I start by working at like a bakery place.
And everyone's like, his scones are good, but he's going to give it all up for the scone aspirations.
And I don't even get to open my own shop. I just have to work for like a Panera, a chain.
I think Gold, yours would be
professional handicapper in Vegas.
Be like, I can sell my picks. I'm a shark. I can sell my picks. I'm giving everything up.
You'd
be like those old.
You'd be like those guys. In a crappy apartment in Vegas.
Yeah, you'd be those. You'd get a spray tan, slicked back hair, lots of
spray tan.
Oh yeah, lots of product in your hair.
Slicked back hair for sure.
Greasy, slicked back hair.
Just wear a sport coat around everywhere.
And you just convincing everybody. You're selling your picks like right on those Saturday morning shows on the hotline.
I'll be buying airtime on 610. Yeah. Oh man. Those shows
and he
suck.
still
Those
keeps
shows suck, by the way.
He still says Goldilocks, but it's just the whole name of the show. Call Goldilocks. That's 1-800-555-GOLD.
Oh, man.
Oh, God, you would hate yourself so much.
I hate those shows. Those are terrible. Those shows give such a bad name for like the sports betting industry, those 800-number shows on Saturday morning.
That's kind of how it started, right?
It did, but they're terrible. Those are, I call this
They're
recorded
your founding fathers.
No, they are not.
They are your founding fathers of sports betting.
A lot of those guys are phonies.
They walked so you could run, Gold.
A lot of those guys are complete phonies. The recorded line.
That's why I'm saying that would be your rock bottom.
Yeah, it would. I really think it would. Text line.
Boy, they really can envision our rock bottom, can't they?
Well, yeah, the text line thinks that your rock bottom, Cody, would be a sports talk radio host.
Someone says that.
Well, you know, ouch.
Damn.
With this salary? No way, sir.
Someone is misleading. Their 75-year-old father introduces himself as a retired physician. They said he went to chiropractic college, was a chiropractor for 1 year. Then the rest of his career was a financial planner. He tells people he was a retired physician. You know, at that point, when I do think, like, if you're 75 or you start getting older, like, at that point, like, you can just tell. At that point, I think you can. This guy's telling it to, you know, it sounds like he was younger.
He's like in his mid-40s.
Maybe he's a pilot. But this guy, once you're 75, you can tell people you were once a physician. Nobody's going to check, right?
I don't see this happening, Gold.
It's not like anybody would ever.
Yeah.
It's not like anybody that would, you know, represent.
Sure.
Anybody, Nick, that would represent people that people would actually trust, and maybe
but
even
think about, like,
elect would actually lie about things over and over. That would never happen.
You know what? I would say that your rock bottom, Gold, could be because of all the people that seemingly yell stuff at you at Chiefs games, and you're a pretty animated fan. If you got into if you went viral for getting into an altercation let me put it this way. If you ever got into a physical altercation, there's like a 90% chance it would be at a Chiefs game.
Ooh.
From some drunk away fan trying to start some stuff
it wouldn't
with
be at a Chiefs game because there's too many of it would probably have to involve being in a road atmosphere. At a Chiefs game, there's too many Chiefs fans around that wouldn't happen. It would be more of what happened in Manhattan, where you're in a situation where you're in an opposing venue.
Because they're a little more confident when you're at home.
Yeah, you wouldn't worry about it at home. But again, I'll maintain that the K-State game, I never said 2 words. This lady just kept coming up and saying, well, cheaters never win except KU. It was, again, the dumbest line I've ever heard. I hope one day it gets back to her because, you were more on that day.
Let's make shirts.
It sounds like she probably doesn't remember it.
Yeah.
That's the other problem Cole's going to have at getting in a fight in a Chiefs game is he's never going to be the drunkest person at a Chiefs game.
Nick, yeah, but you've
gotten close to that. You've got to hit that level, but
all it would take. But I'm never talking smack to other fans. And Gold doesn't really either.
I don't
but
talk. Like, we have Bengals fans behind us. I didn't talk smack to them.
All it would take is a person like that K-State fan to throw a drink on you.
Yeah. You do seem like.
Yeah, but it was a woman though, so it's a little bit different.
I don't think you would talk smack to a fan, but I could see you like clapping in a fan's face, like, "Oh, look at that play!
That's right!
I definitely think that.
I've done the turnaround. Like,
I definitely think there's some of that in you.
I mean,
one drink, boom.
Oh, guys, that already happened on Sunday at Arrowhead. Whereas, like, the whole row did it because these annoying Cincinnati fans were right behind us. So our entire row, after they were all excited on their drive and were annoying, the minute the Chiefs, like the holding call that was called on Eli Apple on MVS when they were all excited and thought the drive was over, we're all like, first down, like right back at them. So yeah, that stuff already happens, but that's fun. Like that's fun stuff that you expect to see. Nobody's shoving or pouring drinks on each other. That's ridiculous. Like, control yourself.
Keep control of your life.
All right, coming up next, we know Chris Jones had his signature game. Cody says there's another player that's going to have the same type of performance next week.
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Even a wager that misses can still be a slam dunk with BetMGM, an authorized gaming partner of the NBA. Place an NBA one-game parlay wager with 4 legs or more, and if you miss one leg, you'll receive up to $25 back in bonus bets. Just opt into this promotion on BetMGM's app or website. With one-game parlay, you can make selections within any single NBA game from tons of bet types, including team and player props. So go ahead and take your favorite NBA star to score big, the home team to cover, and the over in points. Opt into this promotion and then place an NBA one-game parlay wager of 4 legs or more, and you'll receive up to $25 back in bonus bets if you miss one leg. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years of age or older to wager. Kansas only. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
CDL drivers and heavy truck mechanics, listen up. Everybody loves playing for a winner, right? That's why it's time to bring your skills and experience to one of the nation's leading providers of sustainable solutions, Waste Management.
There's so much more to waste management than what you think it is.
WM is paying
Claim a $7,500 new hire bonus to CDL truck drivers and heavy truck mechanics for immediate job opportunities at our WM site in Kansas City.
Besides the $7,500 new hire bonus, there's steady work, weekly paychecks, opportunities for overtime, paid training, a generous boot and tool allowance, and home every day.
Plus, over-the-top benefits like 100% tuition coverage for you and your family, and so much more.
Apply online today at WM.com/careers. That's WM.com/careers. Search driver and mechanic jobs in Kansas City, Kansas.
Hiring today for tomorrow. We are WM.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text JUDGE to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text JDGE to 321-321. That's JUDGE to 321-321.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
This Valentine's, it will be love at first sight when you see Diamonds Direct's Classics collection. This must-have collection includes diamond stud earrings, diamond hoop earrings, diamond pendants, diamond bracelets. These beautiful romantic gifts even come in any budget. Diamond Classics are like the little black dress. It's jewelry every woman needs, something she can wear every day, whether just running errands or going out on the town. A nice pair of diamond stud earrings goes with just about anything. Now is the perfect time to celebrate your love with the gift of jewelry. Diamonds Direct has all of the trending fashion jewelry she needs to complete any outfit. Whether she needs a pop of color with a gorgeous gemstone necklace or classic diamond studs to wear every day, it's all at Diamonds Direct. Come and let us help you start the jewelry box of her dreams. And remember, with every purchase at Diamonds Direct, you're guaranteed the best value price and a luxurious shopping experience. Come celebrate your love this Valentine's at Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com.
I stopped smoking with Mark Patrick's hypnosis when nothing else worked. 1 year later, my wife Michelle and I ended a Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis. In 2 months, lost 43 pounds, and she lost 18 pounds. And we feel great.
Seminars Wednesday, February 22nd. The Sure Stay Plus by Best Western in Kansas City. February 23rd, Holiday Inn and Suites, Overland Park West and Overland Park. Weight loss seminar, 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar at 8 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys made the switch to Harry's. So thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weight handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code JOY at checkout. That's harrys.com, code JOY. Enjoy.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Your AFC champions play right here. Proud to be the official broadcast partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. 610 Sports Radio. KCSP Kansas City. WDAF HD2 Liberty. And on a season.
1 o'clock hour. It's Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Nick Schwartz with you. Even though the random question yesterday kind of had snitch line vibes, we'll get to the snitch line coming up in about 15 minutes or so. 610 snitch line on a Thursday, 913-586-7610 is that time to get something off your chest. Maybe you're just in a good mood anyway, like we all are seemingly in Kansas City right now because the Chiefs are headed to the Super Bowl. So you're willing to be a little more open. You're willing to be open about maybe some of the things you've done in the past. You feel like people will be more accepting right now. That's what the snitch line is for, coming up in just a little bit.
Think about how ridiculous it would be to take a job that you had for like 1 or 2 years and identify that in retirement. Like, I'm a retired professor. You're like, you can't claim that.
I think what was unfair is that you did not give us any opportunity for growth in that profession. The first jobs we all had were entry-level positions. There's no way to live off those jobs.
What would you have changed your answer?
Scoop ice cream for the rest of my life.
Would you change your answer if you could grow, but only inside that same building?
Well, then that means I could.
So you couldn't become like the CEO of McDonald's, but you could become the manager, the daytime manager of
McDonald's. I could be the
McDonald's.
regional manager of.
Well, no, he's saying in that building.
Westlake Hardware.
Just in that building.
So the store manager of Westlake Hardware.
Store manager of Hen House.
But daytime store manager. No evening hours, you know?
No evening hours.
That's true. Hey, we're clocking out at 5, and I'm not taking my work home with me.
Doesn't that sound nice? Wouldn't you like to, I don't know, hypothetically, 2 o'clock today, just not have to work anymore? Today.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Not ever, just today.
Anyway, we'll get to the snitch line coming up in just a little bit. But we know Chris Jones had a signature type of performance in the AFC title game. It's one that everybody will remember for a very, very long time, and one that is going to make, I think, his contract negotiations in a way like simpler, just in terms of it's like, hey, how do you negotiate the exact structure, but the dollar amount might just be the dollar amount. You think there's somebody else that has an opportunity and also needs to have his type of signature game in the Super Bowl?
It is Orlando Brown Jr. We asked for it. We called for it all week from Chris Jones. We called for it all playoffs from Chris Jones. Hell, we kind of called for it this season. Chris Jones helped them close out 5 or 6 games this year. And I know it's easier to see sometimes from a defensive line perspective, but Mahomes wins his fair share. We know that Chris Jones has won his. When we're talking about high-priced, big position, they paid a lot for you positions, Orlando Brown Jr. qualifies in that regard. He needs to have his Chris Jones game. Show up. Push everyone down. Get as many pancakes as you want. Doesn't matter. But dominate. For one game, have a dominant performance. And I'm not saying Orlando Brown Jr. has never done that. He's had dominant performances in individual games. I think he's had a very nice season for Kansas City.
They were great last week.
They were as an offensive line. Really good last week. I know they gave him a couple of sacks. They were really good. Orlando Brown Jr. got beat on 1 3-man rush. I don't care. So they were really good in that entire game. He's got to have his defining game. Because for what he's asking to be paid, for what the Kansas City Chiefs already gave up for him, they need him in this game more than ever. The Philadelphia Eagles have 4 players with 11 or more sacks. They got a guy who's leading the NFL essentially in Hassan Reddick in 16.5 sacks. No, he didn't, but he's right near the top. They got 3 more guys with 11 sacks each. He's going to never get a break in this game. He's just going to be tested over and over and over again. They need him to be dominant.
Well, they certainly do. And I don't think when you go up against the opponent that they're going to go up against and the sack numbers you just gave there, like it's not as simple as, man, you got to make sure that they never get to Mahomes. That's not realistic. They're going to get theirs. They're great. They're in the Super Bowl for a reason.
Yeah, Chris Jones didn't sack the quarterback on every snap.
They're a hell of a defense, and they got to the Super Bowl for a reason. But it can't be. It certainly can't be a liability to where you feel like, man, this is a constant problem on that side of the line. I do think still Orlando Brown Jr. at times probably unfairly gets criticized. I think he actually, much like a year ago, did get better as the season went on. Now, it's a different conversation than talking about should he be getting paid like a top 5 left tackle? No, but we know how the market goes. I still think the best route for the Chiefs with him is just going to be to tag him again. It'll be a double tag, and yeah, it'll cost you a bit more, but it's still, I think, their best option going forward. And I think from a fan standpoint, if he does what you're asking him to do, Cody, where he has one of his best performances in a Super Bowl that also helps keep Mahomes upright, who still is not going to be 100%, by the way, with that high ankle sprain. Like, yes, it's another couple weeks, but he's still not going to be 100%. If he comes through there, that would help with the fan sentiment towards Brown. Or on the flip side, Cody Mahomes gets hurt again or gets banged up, and you have Orlando Brown Jr. Seemingly getting beat consistently throughout the game, and that would be like the final straw, I think, for Chiefs fans at that point in time. So, yeah, there's certainly some pressure there. I think Andrew Wiley also, it's just you're not talking about the same dollar amount in draft capital, but Andrew Wiley also is going to have have a great game on the edge, too. I mean, he's going to be – they're going to move Reddick around. It's not like it's going to be just on Orlando Brown Jr., the same way the Chiefs move around Chris Jones. And there'll be some different looks that we haven't seen. I think this applies to Andrew Wiley as well.
I know that we could put it on, but you know how it is, man. I mean, honestly, this is like the McCole Hardman situation. Like, Andrew Wiley, he needs to have it's important that he has a game. but it's way less on him than it is Orlando Brown Jr. Look at the other guys. We got two guys who are in the second year in their league, in center and in right guard. I could say I think it's by ranking most important, as in it's on your ass to keep Patrick Mahomes safe in this game. Orlando Brown 1, Joe Thuney 2, Creed Humphrey 3. It's literally left to right. Then Trey Smith 4, and Andrew White. I think Trey Smith, they've almost put more in on him.
Yeah, I think more important, like not who.
No, I just meant like it's on you, and I understand like
just because of the tackle position, I would bump him up higher than Trey Smith in terms of like who just because you're out on an island theoretically. That would be, but I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, just in terms of where they're at as
like Orlando Brown Jr. Like this is important for him. He wants to be the highest or one of the highest paid left tackles in NFL history. This is you have never had a better chance to show both the team you currently play for or anyone else in the NFL how serious you are about wanting to do that for the next 10 years in the NFL. Because you're in the Super Bowl against the number 1 sack team in the entire NFL. I know the Chiefs are number 2. They have 15 left sacks. A whole sack less per game than the Philadelphia Eagles. And they got 4 guys they're going to run at you at any particular point to go get after the quarterback. Not 1 or 2, 4. So it's like when you look at the numbers across the board, Orlando Brown, I mean, if I were just ranking, like we were just talking, like 1 through 53 most important players in the Super Bowl, Mahomes is 1, okay. I'm not getting past 5 before I mention Orlando Brown's name. I'm just not. He is one of the 5 most important players in this upcoming game in a week and a half.
I also look at this game and say, these guys that have stepped up that are rookies, I don't really view them as rookies anymore. I mean, it is February. You've gone through and played more games than you've ever played in your life of football in one particular calendar year. Deep playoff run, most games Pacheco and Jalen Watson have ever played, and Joshua Williams and Trent McDuffie and George Karlaftis, and seeing them step up and be a big reason, by the way, why this team keeps winning. It's not as if they're rookies and they're having their role per se. Like Jalen Watson's pick against Trevor Lawrence kind of sealed that game. We saw both Joshua Williams and Brian Cook lead to an interception in this past game. Karlaftis obviously had a sack in the AFC title game. Sky Moore had a huge return. I mean, I don't treat them like rookies. I don't think we should be viewing them that way. I understand it's a huge game. The Super Bowl is as big a game you can ever play in your entire career. They're just going to do it right out of the gate. I would argue that like that's the time to actually expect them to continue to play at the level that they're doing, because for them, it's such a weird spot that they're in right away. I think Nick said, like, ignorance is bliss. Like when you're,
they didn't realize how big.
Like it's a huge game, but like, I think if you were in the league for 7 years and you've never been to a Super Bowl, the Super Bowl probably gets like bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. They're getting it in their first year in the NFL, and they've also, a lot of these guys just went up against what people thought were the 2 or 3 best teams in football. They went up against the Cincinnati Bengals twice this year. They went up against Buffalo already this year. Now they're going to play Philly, who's been the best or second best team for much of the season.
This is where it all kind of comes into play, where it really helps them, Gold, is think about how many games they've played in that are massive this year. Cincinnati in the regular season, Buffalo in the regular season. How many people just come at you, test you all the time? And then the Cincinnati game. Like the Cincinnati game is really kind of like the caveat one, because that was a huge game against massive weapons, against one of the best, probably the second best quarterback in the NFL. And it was Brian Cook tipping it to Joshua Williams. It was Jalen Watson getting a pick for the second consecutive game, right? It was, and he's had some of the biggest picks of the season for the Chiefs. Isaiah Pacheco beat his head against a wall trying to run the ball. So you're like, oh, well, he didn't run the ball very well. He had almost 60 yards. So, like, he became the outlet pass for Patrick Mahomes in a game where they, again, had to use Jerick McKinnon in those pass block sets more so than the other. And so I just watched them do it. Like, I don't want to treat them like rookies if they're not going to play like rookies, I guess is part of it. If I watch them play more like rookies these last 5 or 6 games, I might feel more like treating them like that. But that's not how they're playing. That's how none of them are playing. Sky Moore's playing like a rookie earlier in the year. Joshua Williams was playing like a rookie for a while. But it's like they're not playing like rookies right now. So it's hard to really hold them to that standard. Or at least you don't want to. Because I don't want to come out of this game and be like, God, if they just had another year on these rookies, they win this Super Bowl. Those are the players that are exposed. They've had 20 games almost.
And then you look at Philadelphia, well, we're talking about the quarterbacks they've faced and the opponents the Chiefs have facing. Compared to the two, the Chiefs, 31st strength of schedule. Philadelphia, strength of schedule. Kansas 16th strength of schedule. And they were in the best division, the NFC East this year, but the Chiefs played a much more challenging schedule throughout the way. And that includes, by the way, the playoffs. They played the New York Giants, who they destroyed, a Giants team that is likely going to lead to Brian Dable being coach of the year because they, quote-unquote, overachieved. And then they just faced a Niners team that had no quarterbacks, like literally ran out of quarterbacks in an NFC title game. So in terms of battle test, doesn't mean do I think the Eagles are frauds or something? Of course not. That's not what I'm saying. But before we crown the Eagles' defense as being the 85 Bears or the 2015 Broncos or the early 2000s Ravens defense, let's remember who they went up against throughout the season. I think it's a very, very good defense. It's not a historically good Philadelphia defense.
No, I mean, I was going through the best quarterbacks they played. Love played half the game. Okay, so that's out. And the Packers still scored 33. So when you look at the Eagles across the board, I think you can make a pretty strong argument the full game, the toughest quarterback they played was Trevor Lawrence. I don't know where you currently rank Trevor Lawrence.
Well, that was just so early in the year. That was only 4 games into the season. That was before Trevor Lawrence and the Jags really got rolling.
Yeah, in their first year under Doug Peterson, they barely even had a chance to see them at that point. Other than that, they faced Goff, Cousins, Wentz. Was Murray hurt by week 5? When did he get hurt?
He got hurt later, didn't he?
Oh, fine. Kyler Murray. They played Dallas when they were without their starting quarterback. So it's like, we're just coming back. And it's just like, what are we doing here? They didn't face anybody, especially in the back half of the season. Their schedule was pretty soft. I don't know that I want to, I understand how good of a team they are. I understand that even if you play a soft schedule, it's really hard to win for. So I'm not trying to completely diminish. I don't think that they're the Vikings, right? The team we all believe to be a fraud because they're a fraud. That's definitely not Philadelphia. There are stats that say just how good they are. But they're also trying to win a Super Bowl in a way people don't win it. If they're going to run 60% of the time, it's not really how people win Super Bowls very often. They're trying to approach it a completely different way. They haven't had to face a guy like Patrick Mahomes the entire year. When they faced Patrick Mahomes last year, he scored 40 on them. And it's not people on, I know that their offense looks quite a bit different from just Jalen Hurts' comfort and A.J. Brown and all that stuff. Defensive talent close to what they were last year. They added Hassan Reddick. That's a huge addition. But the rest of the unit kind of looks the way that it did. So it's like, I don't know that they're prepared to – I don't think they're prepared to guard a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes because they haven't done it all year.
A conversation with former Chiefs wide receiver Danan Hughes. You'll hear that coming up in about 15 minutes. So we asked him about this very defense. And also he brought up something that's interesting and I agree with when it comes to how rosters are kind of set up in the NFL and including how they're going to be set up come Super Bowl Sunday. But in the meantime, let's get to the snitch line.
You've called the snitch line.
And if I have to tell you again, we're going to take it out and I'll show you what it's like.
913-662-1270.
Leave him alone!
Please leave your message for Thursdays at 1:15 on Cody and Gold.
And if you think I'm kidding, just try me. Try me. So we're good?
913-586-7610. That is the 610 snitch line. This is time to let us know if you've seen something around Kansas City. You've done something in the past on Sunday, and you saw something.
Gold clapping in a guy's face. Maybe, and they almost threw punches.
Not even close. Not even close to that happening. They left very quietly. Very quietly.
That's how it works.
Yeah, it's the best. That's the best. When you're sitting at Arrowhead or you're the home team, and you look at the aisles and in this case, Cincy fans with their head down, walking up, dead quiet after making all kinds of noise and holding up their damn Burrowhead signs, and the signs are left on the ground in the aisle of the seats while confetti is falling. It was one of the greatest feelings you'll get.
Just watching people leave in sadness.
Absolutely, yes. I enjoy that when it comes to sporting events.
That's pretty sadistic, dude.
When it comes to sporting, I'm right, I do.
You
There's
hear him,
nothing better
love people
than the opposing fans.
What if it's a little kid?
Little kids. When they're opposing fans,
you just kind of scoffing past that.
When there's opposing fans that spend thousands of dollars to come to your venue and then the Chiefs shut and they got to walk their ass back to Cincy, yeah. And deal with the brush fire at Arrowhead, because that happened again, too.
Okay.
Fireworks going off in the parking lot. Oh, yeah.
From the 816, girlfriends got drunk at the AFC Championship and started a fight with the beer vendor wearing orange and black, their uniform. Marriage material.
What?
Oh, black. You're like, this is my.
Now
I have to wear for work.
That's ridiculous.
So,
what was she mad about? It's not like orange and blue. They weren't like it's not exactly Broncos colors.
That's crazy, honestly.
Need deets. I have a self snitch.
Oh,
this is just specifically for you.
Wow. Okay.
Thanks.
Ready?
Well, I need to get my chest. So next week we're going down to Arizona, and there's going to be a lot of stuff happening, and
yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Right? Like we're going to be busy days. Work days are going to be fun. We're going to be busy and kind of running around, and then at nighttime there's all sorts of parties and things to go to. I don't want to go to any of that.
What?
I don't want to go to any of the parties.
Why?
I don't want to go. I feel like I'm going to be too tired.
Well, we'll see how the week goes, but you
need your nap
early in the week.
I feel like I'm going to want to go home, make some dinner, and just hang out at the house.
I mean, that'll happen as the week goes on, but you're telling me, let's say if there's a SI or Gatorade party, you don't want to go to that.
I mean, I might go to one of them, but I just need you guys to know that I while I'm there, and you look at me from across the bar.
Nick, when else are you going to be at a Super Bowl week?
I know, and I feel like I should feel guilty about this, but I don't.
You should feel guilty. You should want to go to some.
I'm there to work.
You know what? This is the Three Little Bears situation.
You know what? Some of us are going there to work.
I want to go to the medium amount, and you want to go to zero.
So I want to work. I'm there to work. You guys are there to party, and that's fine. And that's fine. And that's fine. You guys just want to go on the company's dime to go party and rub elbows with media elites. This is what's wrong with the mainstream media. And this is why the public has no trust of the mainstream media. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I just want to go there and work and do a good job. For the listeners, because the listeners don't care about us partying. They care about the content. That's all that matters to me. So you guys are out just getting absolutely blasted on Bud Lights. I'll be back at the house prepping for some A+ content the next day. I'm going to wake up feeling chipper.
So you're playing.
Roll and shut your mouth.
Just please listen to Travis. Stop saying what
my role.
Nick,
I know my role. It's
Nick,
the hard work.
You just have to suck it up and party with us. I don't know how to break it to you.
This
is part of your job next week is to party with
Cody
us.
knows this. We didn't go to everything. As the week went on, we're like, we don't need to go. Initially, the plan is to go to a lot of these things.
So are you planning on cooking dinner while we're out there?
Every night.
No, you're not. Stop.
Yeah, I'm making my own pasta too. We make gnocchi.
Nick's gonna be in the kitchen.
I've already got a menu set up.
Potatoes.
Nick's gonna be in the kitchen. Nick's gonna be in the kitchen.
Labor intensive.
With the damn razor blade slicing the damn garlic.
Like in Goodfellas.
Sorry guys, can't make the party tonight. This carbonara is not gonna make itself. You know.
You guys are walking out the door. It's smelling like cologne, and then I'm like, all right, who's hungry? I just spent 4 hours on dinner.
You never know when you'll be back at a Super Bowl week, and so try to take advantage.
It's kind of rich for us to say that, considering we were just at one in Miami.
Understand, Cody,
it's kind of hard to be like, "Hey, Nick, you may never make it back."
We don't
never.
Know. You don't know.
A couple years later,
we don't know.
Gotta stay hungry, guys.
We don't know.
You gotta stay hungry.
When Nick's working for Arrowhead Pride in a couple years, they may or may not send them. We don't know.
Good
That's when I'm really gonna start cutting loose. When I'm on AP's dime.
Is that deeper pocket?
Yeah.
You just figured you just
Text line has a theory. Sounds like Nick's girlfriend got him to no party for you, buddy boy.
I can assure you, she doesn't care.
Someone says you guys need a producer for the week to fill in for Nick. Now you can have my number.
I'm still gonna go do.
Someone says Nick's gonna be in the playbook while Cody and Gold.
That's right. So I'll be scrubbing the tape.
Someone says I'm lying. I also don't want to go to the parties. His foot will hurt too much, so they'll be stuck with hurt Cody or go drink Nick.
I swear, dude. If we're walking through radio behind you, I'm
bad
walking
news.
at least
Nick.
I'm at least 10 feet in front of you.
That happened the last time.
We'll help Cody with some pain management. Arizona allows certain things out there, so maybe Cody can use that to help the foot.
The dry heat's probably not good for your joints. You want that moisture, sort of like lube it up.
There's no way that's a real doctor's advice.
Yeah, those same doctors that are helping that guy have an 18-year-old rectum.
That's the ones who are going to tell me I have to get my knee lubed up or my foot lubed up in order to get myself through Radio Row.
Cody's got to wake up at 5 a.m. every morning to get the knee ready and the foot ready to go.
Someone just said, take Jed instead. You know what? If you don't want to have fun, Nick, we're taking someone who does want to. Does Blake like to have fun?
No.
Who likes to have fun in this
You guys
building?
are the only ones.
Just the two of us? We're the only two people who like to have fun?
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
We'll get Nick out to a party. We'll make it happen. We'll make one of these nights while we're out there, and we'll get Nick show up.
I want you to wear a loud shirt. Like, I think you should leave. Like, just like a Dan Flash's shirt, Nick. You gotta wear something.
Man.
Big floral, bright patterns, purple and yellow and orange.
Gotta be bold, man. You gotta stand out at these things.
Oh my goodness. Definitely could see that actually happening. All right, that's the snitch line that turned into just roasting Nick for not wanting to have
for having work ethic.
Yeah, exactly. All right, coming up next, we'll get to what's trending and our conversation with former Chiefs wide receiver Danan Hughes. We'll ask him what the Chiefs have to do going up against that number one defense.
You're listening to Cody Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Subscribe and download all new episodes of Nick's Wavin' in the Wheat podcast, released every Thursday on the 435 Podcast Network and the Odyssey app.
If you need new windows, you need the window source of Kansas City. Give my guys Pierce and Gary a call. They're a father and son locally owned team. We're going to make sure to take care of that project well for you. I know windows, you're like, oh, okay, I want to make sure I get the right style, want to make sure that they look good on the house. But also, you're looking for energy efficiency, right? Those heat bills on a rise, trying to figure out ways to save money, ways to make these things. Well, I saw a 30% decrease in our heating bill as soon as we got those new windows 2 years ago, and that's remaining the same as it was before. So if you're looking for those ways, those improvements for your house, they're going to last a lifetime. The window source of Kansas City is the company for you. They have a lifetime warranty, a best price guarantee. You can make sure to deal in a low-pressure sales environment to make sure Gary and Pierce will take care of you. Give Pierce a call, 913-333-6706. Or if you're in Lawrence or Topeka, give Gary a call, 785-320-2045. Or head over to windowsourceofkc.com.
This is Andrew Filipponi here, bringing you the parlay of the day, brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Where will the touchdowns come from in Super Bowl 57? On FanDuel, the favorite to score an anytime touchdown is Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce at -120. With his fourth down touchdown catch in the AFC title game, Kelce tied Gronk for second all-time in postseason restores. I would keep Kelce touchdowns out of my Super Bowl parlays. In 19 games, Philly allowed 3 tight end touchdowns from Kelce. That's it for the parlay of the day. Brought to you by FanDuel. Download today and make every moment more with America's #1 sportsbook.
21 plus Kansas. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 4 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. 522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made it for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text JUDGE to 321-321 right now for your bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text JUDGE to 321-321. That's JUDGE to 321-321.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
Kansas City Steak Company, another AmericanEagle.com success story. Started in 1932, they owned a butcher shop. Today, they're a leading distributor of superior all-American steaks delivered right to your door, ready for the grill and your taste buds. When it came to their website, an average site wouldn't do. They chose AmericanEagle.com to take their website to the next level. With the dramatic increase in competition and a softening market demand, they had 2 challenges: improve their brand presence and message, and produce a positive return. AmericanEagle.com got to work and executed usability studies and tailored its site experience, digital assets, and marketing. The result? An integrated digital marketing and customer experience plan, organic traffic of 20%, and a long-term roadmap for success. If you love great steaks, go to kansascitysteak.com for website design, development, and online solutions that bring efficiency and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. If you need a results-driven website, Call AmericanEagle.com at 877-WEB-NOW-1. That's 877-WEB-NOW-1.
Let me guess. Unknown caller. You could reduce the number of unwanted calls and emails with online privacy protection. The latest innovation from Discover. We'll help regularly remove your personal info, like your name and address, from 10 popular people search websites that could sell your data. And we'll do it for free. Activate in the Discover app. See terms and learn more at Discover Privacy Protection.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and more safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to 4hims.com/joy. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation and discreet shipping if prescribed. You'll love your results. To start your free online visit, go to 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/JOY.
What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending.
Number one on what's trending, injury front for the Kansas City Chiefs. We know that practice underway for the Chiefs. This was an actual one. Yesterday they gave that practice estimation. They're actually practicing today. So Juju Smith-Schuster, Kadarius Toney looking like they're just going to be off to the side for much of practice today. Snead did go through stretches according to those on the scene there, including our own Pete Sweeney. As far as what Andy had to say earlier, though, a bummer from McCole Hardman. Earlier he mentioned that it will be tough for him. I doubt he will make the Super Bowl as that pelvis injury or whatever it is continues to be problematic. That's why he played in 8 games here in 2022/2023.
He had not really been an issue injury-wise. He'd played in every single game. Other than that, I know he missed a little bit of time here or there, but he certainly had been fine up to that point. Next up on What's Trending, reported earlier in the show, alleged bank robber, Chiefsaholic, is asking to be released from jail before the Super Bowl, asking his bond to be reduced to $50,000 so he can get out before the big game. Do you think he'll be successful?
Yes, I think they will reduce his bond.
Really? Why?
I just feel like
I don't know how that works.
I feel like they will reduce it though. He requested it at this point. He's been behind bars for a month. It depends on.
You think it's enough, huh?
I mean, $200,000. Don't you think $200,000 was a little much?
I mean, he did rob a bank.
Right. Now, fortunately, he didn't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, so I understand.
Right, so I guess maybe I can let it go for that.
That's why I think $50K. Lower
That's
it down.
a lot of money.
Now, look, the Chiefs haven't lost since he's been behind bars, though. So there's a lot of Chiefs fans that are like, wait.
Question is, do you think he should get out, one? And do you want him to get out yourself?
I don't want him getting out before the Super Bowl, but I think, obviously, he should have the opportunity to make bail, if maybe a more reasonable amount, yes. But, yeah, the fact that he might actually be able to watch the Super Bowl as a Chiefs fan is kind of funny considering how the whole story went. If they're not going to let him leave the state of Oklahoma, right?
I wouldn't. I don't know how that works. When that's not your residency, what are you supposed to do? Just take up residency in a state in which you don't live?
I don't know. That's a good question.
What are you supposed to do? Get like a motel? To me, it's like...
How do they know he's not going to go on the run?
I mean, with a guy who's got $100,000 in bets
That's
looming,
what I'm saying.
Seems like a pretty good candidate to go on the run.
Also, wouldn't the FBI, he might have to, I don't know, he probably doesn't have a passport, but hand over your passport kind of thing. I don't know how that works. I really don't. Let's get some legal experts on the text line who I know everything about this.
Yeah, Nick's our medical expert. We need a legal
expert. 913-586-7610. Next up on What's Trending, there's a report that Vic Fangio is going to take the Dolphins' defensive coordinator job. That had been rumored for a little bit. He opted for Miami over several other teams, including the San Francisco 49ers. This coming out of 9 News in Denver, that the deal has not been finalized. But Vic Fangio did interview with the Falcons and Panthers as well, but he's going to be Mike McDaniel's chief assistant in Miami.
For What's Trending, Jerry Jones said in an interview today that he was happy about the decision to trade Amari Cooper and happy to use the cap space elsewhere. I want you to think about that for a minute. Why? Your quarterback clearly needed another weapon on offense, and based on what wide receivers are paid in the NFL, Gold, can you tell me that Amari Cooper isn't an absolute steal at that rate?
Great trade for Cleveland. Yeah, great trade for Cleveland.
Jerry Jones is just not going to admit that he did something wrong. You know what's funny? It's like you hear Andy Reid talk earlier today. Dude, it's really hard. He's like, I realized that I wanted to be a head coach. Doing both jobs was really hard. It's almost impossible to do both at the same time. And you're like, hey, Jerry, maybe just worry about being an owner. Don't try to also be the general manager of a team.
Never going to happen.
Turns out both those jobs are really hard.
Him and his son, it's never going to happen. It's as long as they're in charge, it's never going to happen.
They're never going to hire a general manager. They're going to also be in charge of all of that.
As long as Jerry Jones, frankly, is alive, that's not happening. He's going to run the show. That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold.
I think the first one said, I'm not a lawyer, but I did say at Holiday Inn Express last night, if the Chiefs win, all charges will be dropped, is how I understand the law. So the Chiefs win, he's free to go. You know?
So there's a bunch of Chiefs fans in the Tulsa judicial system. Is that what you're saying? I don't think that's how that works necessarily.
It'd be an interesting system that, like,
we did find out that they
if you commit crimes in the year in which your team wins the Super Bowl, it's fine. We'll let you off the hook just as long as they win it.
From the A16, someone says they were in jail and prison. They have TVs in the day room in jail. So as long as you're on something time, I don't know what that means, you can watch whatever. And in prison, you can actually...
Yep. Not going to get the second part of that. Actually, what?
I don't know. It didn't come through. The next text says jalapeno hush puppies. and in prison, you can actually get jalapeno crab hush puppies. I don't think that's what that person meant to say.
I don't think that's it. That's what Nick was actually texting in to tell us he was going to make Tuesday night when we were there. Instead of going to the parties with us, we're going to come home to jalapeno crab.
Hey, I was actually planning on doing a fish fry.
Is there a grill in the backyard? We got a pool.
I'm buying all the cooking equipment. I'm blowing my whole per diem.
You're buying a Traeger
cooking, smoker
out there.
Yeah.
Are you going to bring swim trunks?
I am, for the heck of it. I might bring them. I don't know really honestly if we'll ever end up at the pool, but I'll bring trunks.
It's not going to be that warm.
75.
Yeah, but the pool is not going to be warm. It gets down to the 40s at night.
Put your feet in the water.
Oh, dude, how about we take a little polar plunge to start every day?
It'd wake you up. It would wake you up.
Well, with how much partying and drinking and different substances that you guys are going to be putting in your body, you may need a little shock to the system.
I'm going to buy some of that liquid IV stuff before I'll pack it in the luggage.
What's the rules on per diem for like candy? But that is different kinds.
Oh,
what's the per diem rule on that?
The good news is it's out in Arizona. It's actually pretty cheap because it's a legal market these days.
Interesting. Okay, just curious.
And we're not talking about betting, obviously. Thank you, Cody.
I was just asking. I didn't know what the rules were. I'm going to need them carefully explained by the company before I spend my money.
Gotcha. Hey, we had a chance to catch up with former Chiefs wide receiver Danan Hughes earlier today. Of course, he's going to be in Arizona. Be part of the Chiefs broadcast for the Super Bowl, along with Mitch Holthus, Josh Klingler, and Dan Israel. And we started our conversation asking Danan about heading out to Arizona and kind of the vibes that he's expecting to see.
Absolutely, man. It's going to be a blast. I mean, to think about, 3 Super Bowls in 5 years, and 5 AFC championships, and everything that's around this game, Kelsey Bowl, Sirianni, Andy Reid. I mean, you guys, I'm sure, have gone through the list of why this game is so exciting and important. So, yeah, I'll be around and looking forward to all the excitement out there, man. It's going to be a blast.
What is you mentioned some of the storylines. Like, what is the one that you're actually truly most interested or excited for, other than the obvious, like the Chiefs and Mahomes finding a way to win the game? But what actually stands out the most to you?
I like the Kelsey Bowl thing. I think it's, when you think about the timing of their podcast, this year being the first year, both of those guys being all-pro, and, the nature and how we've gotten to this point as well as they did, I feel like that's a great storyline. And they got, incredible personalities. It would have been really cool if one of them played defense, because then that would be awesome. But at the same time, I think it's just a really cool storyline, and it just adds a little extra juice to the Super Bowl. So, yeah, I think that's probably the one that jumps out to me. I think the world of Andy Reid and the fact that he brought that organization to a Super Bowl. He, broke the record this year in regards to the wins and playoffs and et cetera, and now bringing this organization to another Super Bowl. That's probably a close second. But, yeah, I think it's just awesome that we'll be able to match up like this and have fun out there in the desert.
Danan, as someone who has 3 competitive brothers, I can't imagine losing that kind of battle. The amount of trash you'd hear for the rest of your life, Danan. Oh, God, it would hurt.
Oh, absolutely. And you have to believe that, you would be talking about trash talk that you would probably have at Thanksgiving and Christmas and internally but those guys are going to have trash talk externally too. So it's not just going to be about when they have family gatherings. Like, they got a podcast that they're going to be able to talk about. So could you imagine the first episode next year after this game and how that's going to unfold, and who's going to have to bite their tongue and just grin and bear it type of mindset to be on the podcast and know that at any moment through the entire season next year that other person can just throw it in your face no matter what. Like, if they have a guest on and they get talking about the Super Bowl, imagine the words that'll come out of Travis or Jason's mouth if they're the winner.
It'll be bad. It'll be really bad. Danan, we've got a lot of time to start looking at some of the matchups, but the one that stands out the most to me is I feel like Orlando Brown Jr. has to have his Chris Jones game. Like, they need him. They need him to play his best the way they needed Chris Jones to play his best against Cincinnati, because the way that pass rush works and the way all of this buildup for Orlando Brown Jr. and his contract and all this stuff works, this needs to be his moment in my mind.
But you know what? Here's the thing. I think we've been a little bit harsh with Orlando Brown Jr. I think there's been super high expectations, and he's really done a solid job. Now, having said that, I'm not saying that he's been flawless, but when you consider the overall, in totality, the offensive line, how they've done this year, run game as well as pass game, and Orlando Brown, there's been times where he's been blown by, but that's happened to a lot of teams. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts played 2 less games than Patrick Mahomes, and he's been sacked, 41 times?
Yeah.
And Patrick Mahomes, playing 2 less games, or playing 2 more games, has only been sacked 29. So, we have to recognize that although, Jalen Hurts is, some people would say, more mobile than Patrick Mahomes. So you got the more mobile quarterback getting sacked more versus the lesser mobile quarterback with supposed offensive issues getting sacked less. So I feel like there's been a little bit of a stigma put on Orlando Jr. that I don't know is warranted in totality. Yeah, he gets beat once a game or something like that, and Patrick has to make some magic happen. But for the most part, he's been solid. So, it would be great, especially against this defensive front, for Orlando Brown to have the Chris Jones game of the AFC Championship. But I think if he just plays his game and we just don't compound any mistakes, I think we'll be fine.
We're talking to Danan Hughes, former Chiefs wide receiver. Of course, you'll hear him on the call of the Chiefs Radio Network. Also, players only tonight, 6 o'clock here on 610 Sports Radio. I look at the running game for Kansas City. We know against Cincinnati, Isaiah Pacheco in the rushing attack, it was, combined, 35 yards or so, maybe just around 40 yards, I should say. But they were able to be involved in the passing game. Pacheco certainly was. Against Philadelphia, how important do you think the run game is? Because we were looking at some trends. The Chiefs, weirdly, are actually 6-2 when they're held to 50 rushing yards since 2018, whereas every other team that's held to 50 yards, they're combined 599-1. So is it just that the Chiefs doesn't matter for them?
Yeah. I try to keep it as simple as possible, guys. And I know, Josh is, he's been the advocate for run game. And he's been saying that for the 3 years that we've been doing the broadcast, and probably even several years beforehand. And I'm not saying that he's wrong. But what I am saying, and I think it's pretty simple, every time we hand the ball off, the best player in the league does not have the ball. So if you're Eric Bieniemy, if you're Andy Reid, how often do you not want the best player in the league to have the ball? That's really what it comes down to. And a great compliment to our pass game. We're a pass team first, run game second, and that's how it will always be. And we have to live with that. But the other dynamic of how often do you not want the MVP of the league to have the ball? Because that's where the run game comes into play. Also remember that, and I totally believe this, if you look over the landscape of every play of a 60 to 70 play game, there are pass plays that are like run plays. they're designed to stretch the defense, the bubble screens on the outside, the swing routes, the screens, etc. Now, they go down in the stats as pass plays, but those are really just extended run plays that we've seen. The jet sweep versus the little shovel pass. Those are all the same. So it's kind of tough when you look at the numbers to say, well, we need to run the ball more or we need to commit to a certain run. Like, I feel like if we're up by 2 scores with 6 minutes left, guess what? We'll see a lot more run. Like, I mean, it's that simple. If we're down or we're even, then we're going to see a lot more pass because we're a pass-first team. So I try not to get totally caught up in the run plays and the exact amount of run plays and the yardage because I feel like there's other components of our offense that pretty much equate to the run.
Danan, from a legacy perspective, is this game bigger for Andy or Mahomes?
Great question. I'd probably say bigger for Patrick Mahomes just because I'd hate to have to go through another off-season and regular season speaking of Patrick Mahomes as if he is less than the superstar that he is and somehow gets shaded for an MVP award that he definitely deserves. But if he loses the Super Bowl, then all you have all offseason is talk about how Joe Burrow is still better, Josh Allen was hurt, Justin Herbert will be better, now Russell Wilson because Sean Payton. I mean, I can go through a whole list of what I already anticipate as knocks towards Patrick Mahomes if he loses this game. As far as Andy Reid, I think he's kind of cemented himself as one of the greatest one of the greatest coaches in league history, and having won Super Bowl already and been there multiple times, I feel like Patrick Mahomes would have to wear that stigma a little bit longer.
It does feel that way, especially because I feel like everyone's already just kind of settled into what Andy is, one of the single greatest coaches of all time, and I don't think they're going to let the ring count hold him back as much. It's hard because Mahomes, I think it's just because he set a different standard for him, if that makes sense, Danan, because he's had the single greatest start for an NFL career ever, and to only have one Super Bowl during that time would feel like a big letdown for guys only like him.
Yeah, I can see this. But also, let's remember how many great coaches that are either in the Hall of Fame or we consider great coaches only have one Super Bowl. I mean, so there's a lot of those, just like there are quarterbacks. But most of those quarterbacks that we consider great, they only have one Super Bowl, but they probably only went to 2, maybe 3 at the most. Like we talk about John Elway, well, he won 2, but he went to multiple other ones where he got blown out. And so there are other quarterbacks like that. Marino, I mean, the list can go on of great quarterbacks that didn't necessarily, get the job done every single year.
Peyton Manning only went to 3. I mean, he's already at the same number.
I thought Manning went to 4.
Or 4. Well, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, but remember what? You go 5 years, 6, 7 years into Peyton Manning's career, and what was the dynamic? What was the scuttlebutt about him? Like, would he be just like the Marino because he kept going against Tom Brady and falling on his face? So, like, I feel like this is important for Patrick Mahomes with all the questions, with the elevation of some of the younger talent out there, with the stumbling that we had against Joe Burrow in the past, the last Super Bowl that we were in with him running for his life. I feel like this game would be great in regards to his legacy.
We saw yesterday the Chiefs put out their injury report, but it was just really kind of an estimation as practice hadn't happened. It will today. Out of the guys that were listed as DNPs or wouldn't practice, guys like Juju and Snead and Kadarius Toney, like who concerns you maybe the most about their health and you're going to be watching the most this week and into next week?
I'd say Juju. I mean, I know he hasn't had a great postseason and he's been dealing with the injuries, but I just feel like he was a staple, a solid force for us throughout the season. Very consistent. He's the leading receiver from a receiving category. And I feel like he just brings that extra juice to this team physically, He's obviously garnered a lot of confidence from Patrick Mahomes and within this offense. So I think that would be a true detriment, because then at that point, as far as bigger receivers, and you guys have heard me talk about the need for bigger receivers, you only have Marquez Valdez-Scantling if Juju is not 100%. And although it worked for us for the most part in the AFC Championship, I just hate to go against the defense to the caliber of the Eagles with just that receiver as far as our bigger guy. So I'd say Juju, but I feel like everybody's going to be healthy. And it also brings me to a side note that I think it's ridiculous in the NFL that you have inactives for the Super Bowl. Like, I think it's ridiculous that you have inactives during the regular season anyway. Like, if you got 52 guys that are eligible, why put 5 of them down on game day to be inactive? You got to still pay them. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense, never has. And obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if the NFL looks at that, especially from the quarterback standpoint, when you had to deal with the issues with the 49ers. Like, that's a black mark on the NFL, that you actually have viable quarterbacks that are just in baseball caps and on the sideline because of this number that you have to have for each game. So, and then at the Super Bowl, like, I remember my rookie year, and I think back that if we would have won the AFC Championship against Buffalo, the way Marty was as a coach and how he loved the veterans and stuff like that, I'm not trying to make it seem like I would have been expendable, but I wonder if I would have been deactivated for the Super Bowl. And having to have your family, you're paying for your family to go out, you're buying tickets for your family and everything else, and then on game day, not before, but on game day, somebody comes and taps on your shoulder and says, "Hey, you're deactivated." Like, it doesn't make any sense at all for the NFL not to have everybody active for the playoffs, for the Super Bowl, and I'd even say for the regular season.
Dane, it's kind of why I felt bad that Chris Lamons got claimed. It was like, he can't play for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. It stunk.
Yeah, and the problem is he had no real control over that because he gets claimed, and as long as they don't put him immediately on the practice squad, he has to go to that team. And I'd like to believe that Brett Veach probably had in his mind that he was going to pull him back and pull him back onto the roster had he cleared waivers, and now he's out of luck, and that's unfortunate for him.
No question. Danan, appreciate it as always, man. We'll listen tonight, 6 players only, and then we'll see you out in Arizona next week.
Sounds like the plan, fellas.
All right, that was our conversation with Danan Hughes earlier today on the show, and I think for the last part about the inactive stuff, and it is kind of crazy. Like, if you're on the Super Bowl roster, why are you inactive? Just let everybody be inactive. You're paying them anyway.
Well, I think probably what the truth is, the competition committee will probably look at that this year anyway, just because of what happened in that 49ers game, like you said. Like, if you could have just had one more, even if it's just like whoever, right? Some quarterback you've never heard of who's not really supposed to be there, allow them a bonus roster spot. Like, all right, 53 active, and you get a 54th guy in the playoffs that's another quarterback. Because of all these teams who only want to carry 2. Do not let a team roll into a game not having enough quarterbacks to finish it. I understand the Chiefs were running short on wide receivers the other day. Jody Fortson was lining up every once in a while. But they're carrying 7 guys. I mean, it takes a lot of injuries in a single game in order to get to that point. But it's like a quarterback. What are we doing here?
You guys going to check out, I didn't realize part of tonight is the Pro Bowl, the Pro Bowl games. The Skills Showdown is tomorrow. Tonight is one part. I think tonight might be some of the dodgeball or some of that crap. I honestly had no idea it was tonight. I thought this was all on Sunday, but it's not. It's throughout the entire week.
I would have voted you most likely to watch Pro Bowl stuff as Nick would the other day when he was like, you're the biggest, just overall.
But this isn't even a game anyway. This is just random dodgeball. Catch the funny.
In a weird way, that to me is more. I've never watched a second of the game. Right, I don't think I've ever watched any of it.
But if it's dodgeball, I can just wait till somebody does something funny and it'll tweet it out. It'll be available for me. Like Tyreek Hill doing a backflip while throwing a dodgeball and saying something funny. That'll be on Twitter if it actually was funny. That's kind of where I'm at. Tyreek Hill, you and I have talked off air about this. If Tyreek Hill would go to Radio Row and promote something, I hope he is, because it would be incredible. I don't know if he would agree to come on in Kansas City, but it would be so good. It would be so good.
Has he done a new episode of his podcast
He has
yet?
not. He has not.
Season's over. He said he was going to do it when the season started.
It
so I
need to
didn't
be
know.
said.
I didn't know. Didn't know which one.
Not much needs to be said anymore.
Tonight
for
is
Tiger.
dodgeball, whatever lightning round is, longest drive, precision passing, and best catch.
Longest drive,
round
so there's a little golf going on. Okay.
So there you go.
Sounds thrilling. Can't wait.
I will not be tuning in. Nick, though, big fan. He will be. All 3 hours. However long it's on, we'll have Nick's notable notes will break down the entire Pro Bowl games. Or what are they calling it? Is that what they're calling it? Pro Bowl games?
Pro Bowl games.
I was like, I wasn't even sure if that's what they were
the,
calling
the Pro Bowl games. I was just checking to see if there was.
I'm more interested in watching that Squid Game challenge show than the Pro Bowl games.
Yeah, I was checking if any of the local markets had any ridiculous Pro Bowl type bet options. That's an offshore thing only. Looks like. I didn't see.
Like who's gonna win the best catch?
There is offshore. There's stuff like that. Which team's going to win, like dodgeball, AFC offense or NFC offense? That's actually stuff people can bet on offshore. I haven't seen it on any of the legal betting markets. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Thinking of that, there is that betting show tonight. I'll be on after Danan Hughes, who we just talked about. Danan Hughes will be on Players Only from 6 to 7. I'll be on from 7 to 8. A quick early preview looking ahead to betting options for the Super Bowl. Eitan Shander, who's a sports radio host in Philadelphia, big betting guy as well, big Eagles fan. He'll join me tonight. We'll get their perspective on some of the betting. And otherwise, we'll be back at this thing tomorrow right here on Cody and Gold.
There's Kelsey to the end zone.
Cody and Gold brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since